Chapter 741, Immortal Gate Blocking and Assassination 2, 1920s. Immortal Gate Blocking. Assassination. Ling Xiao, Huang Tian, and the others who were standing at the side were stunned. Their eyes widened as they looked at Emo Qinglong and the others in astonishment. What was the Immortal Gate blocking? It was a group of experts surrounding the entrance of another Immortal Gate. If the other party came out, they would kill them one by one. This was clearly telling you that if I wanted to FUCK you, you could come out and FUCK us. If you don't dare to come out, fine, then don't come out. If you don't come out, they won't care. We'll go assassinate you. This is a kind of above-board bullying, an above-board insult, and it's above-board to kill you. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's assassination team was dumbstruck. You're trying to block an immortal sect from the Nine Cauldrons world. How can you be so awesome? Now, their Hunyuan Immortal Sect was trying to assassinate their crown prince, the son of their sect leader. At most, they would set up an assassination team to take revenge using assassination methods. That was because even if 15 top-tier experts of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect died, they still had a power that could not be ignored. If they were to fight, their Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect would also suffer heavy losses. But now, this group of people wanted to directly block the Immortal Sect. This was too arrogant. However, feeling the strength of this group of people, they pursed their lips and fell silent again. More than 50 Infant Realm experts. This force was even more than the Infant Realm experts of their Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. In particular, besides the 5 people on the surface, according to the voice in the void, he still had 5 subordinates. These 5 subordinates might be around them, so they couldn't sense it. Even their sect leader couldn't find their specific location. A terrifying assassin, a natural-born assassin. This power did indeed have the right to block the Immortal Sect after 15 experts of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect had died. And that terrifying assassin also had the ability to enter the Immortal Sect and assassinate the disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. Sect Masterling, I'll have to trouble everyone to take care of our eldest princess, Ao Jian said to Ling Xiao. Then, the group of people moved and flew directly towards the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. Ling Xiao's eyes sparkled as he watched the group of people fly away. What a domineering behavior. Elder Feng's eyes sparkled as he stared at the group of people flying away. His face was filled with shock as he said, "They are very strong. That middle-aged man who is like a sharp sword and that terrifying creature in the void. When they join forces, their strength is not weaker than mine," Ling Xiao said with a slight sigh. The moment Ao Yao appeared, he even felt a sense of fear. The other party took advantage of his unpreparedness and very likely assassinated him. Sect leader, then we. Elder Feng looked at the group of people in front of him, somewhat awkwardly. 10 Nascent Realm and 30 Dan Realm. This was already a very powerful force. However, compared to the group of people just now, they were simply too weak. They were still preparing to launch a sneak attack, while the others were openly blocking the Immortal Sect. The two were on completely different levels. They're theirs, we're ours. Ling Xiao said slowly. It's the sect leader. Elder Feng knew what the sect leader meant. His son had been assassinated, and in the end, there were even more people who had been implicated by a girl. How should he put it? There was a sense of shame and humiliation. This made him feel how his own son felt in front of that girl. Ling Xiao shook his head. Let's go over and take a look. We can't lose. Elder Feng's figure moved, and he led the assassination team to fly towards the location of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. The Chaos Origin Immortal Sect was located in a valley. The entrance to the valley was the entrance to the Hunyuan city of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect. It extended all the way to the back and was the Hunyuan Immortal Sect. The entire area had a circumference of 50 kilometers. The Hunyuan city had a population of 2 to 3 million people. 80% of them were disciples and family members of the Hanyuan immortal sect. On both sides of the Hanyuan city were huge mountains, creating a super city that was easy to defend but hard to attack. The gate of the city of origin was 20 meters high and 40 to 50 meters wide. From afar, it looked very spectacular. After the Yellow Heaven immortal gate sounded the alarm, the gate of origin, not far away, also sounded the alarm. They did not dare to guarantee that Ling Xiao would not go crazy and start a war between the two immortal gates. Therefore, the entire gate of origin was in a state of alert. On the city wall above the Chaos Origin immortal sect, a group of Chaos Origin city guards stood on top of it to patrol. The Chaos Origin immortal sect only has one main entrance. There might be a secret passage, but we can just block it here. The sun was high up in the sky. From afar, one could see more than 50 figures walking towards the direction of the Chaos Origin city with murderous auras. The main entrance of the Chaos Origin city was not closed because there was no need to close it. Although the Yellow Heaven immortal sect and the Hanyuan immortal sect had shed all pretense of cordiality, the Hanyuan city belonged to the immortal gods. Once someone dared to break in, the immortal gods could kill the intruders. There were many trucks outside the gate of the Hanyuan immortal sect. The words Hanyuan were written on the trucks. Obviously, these were the trucks that the Hanyuan immortal sect had purchased outside. The Hanyuan immortal sect only has this one city gate. We can just block them here. Mo Qinglong looked around and a cold expression appeared on his face. Strange demon, don't make a move for the time being. First, block them outside the city. Then, go to the city and kill them. Finally, kill them inside the immortal sect. Ao Jian stopped. Strange demon and I will not show ourselves. Ao Jian and strange demon, you don't have to show yourselves. Just leave it to us disciples of the Dragon Gate. If the immortal gods don't show themselves, we disciples of the Dragon Gate won't even care about a Hanyuan immortal sect. Mo Qinglong said confidently. Mo Qinglong's current strength was at the half-step immortal god realm, while the others were all at the peak of the infant realm. With the cultivation under the spiritual energy waterfall and the 1-year cultivation under the star guiding disc, their strength far surpassed the ordinary infant realm. Moreover, because of the divine dragon bloodline, although their combat strength was not at the half-step immortal god level, they could still resist 5 or 6 half-step immortal gods. The guy in front, you're standing in the middle and looking for death. Get lost. The truck was traveling on the road. When it saw Mo Qinglong and the others walking in the middle of the road, a middle-aged man stuck his head out and berated them. Are they from the Chaos Origin immortal sect? Mo Qinglong asked indifferently. That's right. Get out of the way. Don't court death. As the truck drove on without slowing down, the middle-aged man roared. That's right. Mo Qinglong and the others were expressionless. Motherfucker, who are these guys? The middle-aged man in the truck revealed a hint of anger. Get out of the way. Since they won't budge, I'll just ram them and kill them. Those who dared to block the path of their primordial immortal sect were courting death. This is a warning period. Don't tell me they're from the Yellow Heaven immortal sect. The driver was slightly taken aback as he asked, if they're not from the Yellow Heaven immortal sect, then I don't know where they came from to seek death in the real world. Just ram straight into them. I can't believe they won't budge. All right. Chapter 742, Immortal Gate and Assassination 3, 2020. Boom! A loud sound was heard at the gate of the Chaos Origin immortal gate. The loud sound was like a terrifying explosion. A few trucks that were rushing over were directly blown away in the middle of the road. A draconid retracted his palm and continued to walk towards the city gate. 50 people were walking over, but they had an aura that could destroy a city. At this moment, the Hanyuan city guards standing on top of the city gate all looked over in astonishment. What happened? A middle-aged man looked over with a cold gaze. He narrowed his eyes and stared at the 50 or so members of the Dragon Palace who were walking toward them. "Captain, they overturned our truck, leaving the city. Could they be from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect?" A young man stood on top of the 20-meter-tall city gate, looking down and asking with a frown. "No, they have short hair, and their aura is different from that of the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. I can't tell their cultivation level." The middle-aged man stared down and then snorted coldly. "Humph, they dare to attack our truck. Let's go down." The middle-aged man moved and flew down directly. Around him, more than 10 guards immediately followed. "Who are you? How dare you attack our truck? Do you know that you are courting death?" The middle-aged man took out the spirit sword in his hand and coldly looked at Emo Qinglong and the others. With their backs against the majestic Hunyuan city and the Hunyuan Immortal Sect, the guards of the Hunyuan city were not afraid of the 50 or so people. People from the Dragon Gate. Emo Qinglong did not stop. He looked at the 10 or so guards and waved his arm. A 10-meter-long demonic chi dragon claw directly attacked them. Enemy attack. The faces of the Hunyuan city guards changed drastically. They roared loudly and pulled out their swords to attack the demonic chi dragon claw. However, like ants shaking a tree, the dozen or so city guards couldn't stop them at all. They let out miserable shrieks. The sounds of enemy attacks and miserable shrieks traveled to the city gate of the Chaotic Origin Immortal Sect, causing the expressions of all the other city guards standing on the city gate to change slightly. Who dares to kill people in front of the city gate of the Chaotic Origin Immortal Sect? The voice of an infant realm expert who was guarding not far away from the city gate was heard. Soon after, an old man floated above the city gate and stared coldly at Emo Qinglong and the others. Emo Qinglong and the others did not answer. They raised their heads and glanced at the old man before walking toward the city gate expressionlessly. The old man sensed their strength, and a trace of solemnity appeared on his face. 500 meters away from the city, Emo Qinglong and the others stopped. The 50-meter-long dragon people lined up on the wide road. "From today onwards, we will kill every single disciple of the Chaotic Origin Immortal Sect that we see." At that moment, a cold voice rang out from inside Hunyuan City. The voice rang out for a radius of more than 10 kilometers. The old man standing above the city gate was stunned. In the city, the Hunyuan Immortal Sect experts who heard the voice were slightly stunned. "Fuck, you're courting death." When the old man heard Emo Qinglong's words, his face instantly turned extremely ugly. A group of 50 people came to the entrance of their Hunyuan city. In the end, they said that they would kill every single Hunyuan Immortal Sect disciple they encountered. This was a blatant insult to their Immortal Sect, and from their stance, it was obvious that they wanted to block the gate. A blatant provocation and insult. The old man stood in the air 100 meters in front of the city gate. His body moved, and metal swords appeared one after another. "Leave him alone." Emo Qinglong looked at the old man who was 100 meters away from the city gate, and a trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. "Yes." A series of voices sounded, and then the 2 draconids moved and attacked the old man at a terrifying speed. Infant realm. The old man's expression changed greatly when he saw the draconids who attacked him in an instant. The 1,000 metal-long swords behind his back instantly covered the 2 of them, and he prepared to retreat. 2 people who came out casually already had the strength of the infant realm, and there were more than 50 people on the other side. Could it be that all of them were at the infant realm? Trying to escape. One of the draconid's arms enlarged and turned into a terrifying dragon claw that was 2 to 3 meters long. The dragon claw was covered with black dragon scales, making it look extremely terrifying. They completely ignored the metal longswords that were attacking them. With a wave of their dragon claws, they instantly attacked the elder. Not good, so strong. Feeling the attack from behind, the elder's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly turned around to block. Another draconid moved forward, and golden metal long swords landed on his body, but they were blocked by the black scales on his body. The elder who had just turned around saw a draconid approaching him, and his expression changed again. He was entangled. Devil splitting dragon claw. The terrifying dragon claw carried a black sharpness as it directly tore towards the elder's body. The elder's expression changed drastically, and the metal long swords revolved around him, forming a powerful defense. Ka-ka-ka! The dragon claws made an ear-piercing sound as they landed on his body. Die! At this moment, another draconid had arrived. The terrifying dragon claws directly covered his entire body. Oh no! A trace of fear flashed through the old man's eyes. His entire body emitted a terrifying golden light. 1,000 needles, 10,000 needles, 100,000 needles. Numerous finger-sized golden auroras formed a terrifying metal attack. Boom! However, before the metal could form, 2 terrifying dragon claws struck the old man's body. Ah! The old man widened his eyes, raised his head and roared, wanting to block the attack. Boom! Another attack came, and the old man's voice came to an abrupt halt. A draconid grabbed the old man's body with his dragon claws and threw him towards Hunyuan City. Bang! The old man's body crashed into the city walls on both sides and was embedded into them. Deacon win! The faces of the few old men who were flying towards them changed drastically as they shouted loudly. The old man had only flown 100 meters away, but this 100 meters was like a natural chasm. He had lost his life on the spot. The 2 draconids moved and returned to a position 500 meters away from the city gate. They looked coldly at the city. The bodies of over 100 nascent soul realm experts from the Chaos Origin Immortal sect who were flying in the sky and daring to come overfroze. In a short instant, the nascent soul realm deacon was actually killed. Looking at the more than 50 people who were standing 500 meters away from their city in silence and coldness, they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. They're standing at the entrance of our city. They're trying to block US outside the city. An old man gritted his teeth and growled in a low voice. Block US outside the city. The disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect immediately had ugly expressions on their faces. Their eyes revealed a crazed killing intent. There was actually someone who dared to block the entrance of their city. Moreover, they would kill anyone who came out. Extremely arrogant. Extremely arrogant. This was simply the first time in the history of the Immortal sect. If someone is really blocked inside the city gate, where is the face? Chapter 743. Cursing the City 1/5. Who dares to block our city gate? Is it the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect? Are they fucking courting death? Let's go and kill them. Whoever dares to block our city gate, we must teach them a lesson. They were furious. From today onwards, they would kill every Hunyuan Immortal sect disciple they saw. As long as he was a person with blood in his veins, he would be extremely furious when he heard these words. This was especially so for the disciples of the Immortal sect. The Immortal sect, which was high and mighty, was now being blocked at the entrance of their home. They would kill every single one of them who dared to come out. This was simply the most direct insult to their Hunyuan Immortal sect. One by one, the Hunyuan Immortal sect disciples swarmed towards the entrance with weapons in their hands. They were filled with killing intent. Whoosh! 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 Soon the city gate was densely packed with more than 1,000 people. There were also many Dan stage and Sciention experts who flew on their flying swords and stood in the air. They looked at the 50 people who were standing 500 meters away from the city gate. All of them had gloomy expressions on their faces. More than 50 people stood in a row with their hands behind their backs. They stared at the city gate with an invincible aura. This attitude and behavior was the greatest contempt for the entire chaotic origin immortal sect. Damn it! More than 50 people are blocking our city gate. Let's kill them. A heaven's favorite of the chaotic origin immortal sect stared at Emo Qinglong and the others below with a face full of anger and shouted loudly, "Kill! Kill them! Hang these damn fellows on the city wall and announce to the world the consequences of provoking our chaotic origin immortal sect." The excited chaos origin immortal sect disciples shouted loudly, "Go, follow me." A young man who was blinded by anger moved and prepared to attack Emo Qinglong and the others. "Retreat!" An old man shouted and stopped the young man. "Elder, are we just going to watch them act arrogantly in front of us?" The young man said angrily, "Stop! No one is allowed to go out." The old man moved his body and looked at the corpse embedded in the city wall. His expression was extremely ugly. His body moved, and he took out the corpse and held it in his hands. "That's Deacon Wen." Some of the Hunyuan immortal sect disciples who had just arrived were slightly shocked. Their faces revealed shock. No matter which faction you are from, if you dare to kill our Hunyuan immortal sect's disciples and block us here, we will definitely kill you. The Hunyuan immortal sect's elder's face darkened as he roared angrily. "Don't say these useless things. Today, if your Hunyuan immortal sect's disciples dare to attack us, we will definitely let you die here. If you have the guts, come out." "Hunyuan immortal sect, hee." Emo Qinglong said with a disdainful expression as he crossed his arms in ridicule. His voice once again spread over 10 kilometers of Fangyuan. This caused the Hunyuan immortal sect disciples standing on the city gate to look as if their eyes were about to split open. Blatant mockery. They had been blocked at the gate, but now they could only watch. "Elder, you must kill them. You must kill all of them." A disciple roared angrily. "No one is allowed to leave. Don't worry, none of them can leave." The old man's eyes were cold. He looked up and saw another group of people walking over. "They are from the Yellow Heaven immortal sect." An exclamation came from the side. In the distance, more than 40 people from the Yellow Heaven immortal sect were flying over. Dong dong dong! At this moment, the sound of the gathering bell rang out from behind the immortal sect. "No one is to go out." The old man's figure flashed as he flew towards the immortal sect. "Domineering." At this moment, Elder Feng led a group of assassins from the Yellow Heaven immortal sect and rushed over. When he saw more than 50 people standing in a row, he couldn't help but sigh. This kind of boldness was not something an ordinary person could achieve. "Brother Emo." Elder Feng hesitated for a moment before coming to Emo Qinglong's side and shouting. After all, both sides could be considered allies now. "Yes, Elder Feng. I was about to ask my disciple to look for you. Could you please give us information about the Hunyuan immortal sect's heaven's chosen disciples, elders, and deacons? It would be best if you also have information about their residence. We will need it in the next 2 days." Emo Qinglong looked at Elder Feng and said, "Okay, we have all this information." Elder Feng naturally knew the purpose of Emo Qinglong's request. He quickly looked at the people beside him and said, "Brother Emo, let us join you." "Okay." Emo Qinglong nodded. Elder Feng was a little embarrassed. After all, the difference in strength between the two sides was too great. Especially those experts of the Yellow Heaven immortal sect who were half-step Infant Realm and Dan Realm. It was even more awkward. No matter what, they were still experts and had some status in the immortal sect. Now that they were here, they always had the feeling that the fox was using the tiger's might. Cough, cough! At this moment, a young man glanced at the experts beside him and then looked towards the city gate. He turned his eyes and slightly raised his head as he jumped over the group of draconids. "Little thieves in front, I've already blocked your gate. Why don't you dare to come out?" FUCK, a group of useless things. They actually dared to sneak attack our crown prince. They actually dared to sneak attack our crown prince's friends. How could they be so fucking cowardly now? Useless things, why are you standing on the city gate? Are you very angry? Then come out, a group of cowards, a group of cowards. Cursing. No, it should be cursing the city. A dance stage expert's voice could be heard for more than 10 kilometers. Those humiliating words immediately caused everyone on the city wall to explode. FUCK, not only was the city blocked, but now they were actually being scolded. Moreover, it was a dance stage expert who was shouting. With a roar, it spread across half of Hanyuan City. What the FUCK? Motherfucker. I'm going to kill them. An enraged, burly middle-aged man couldn't help but move his body and directly attacked the young man who was shouting at the top of his lungs. And in an instant, a draconid moved. Pum! Beside the city gate, before anyone could react, the middle-aged man was directly slapped onto the ground by the terrifying dragon claws. The terrifying attack instantly killed the middle-aged man on the spot. When the young man who had cursed the city saw this scene, he could not help but shrink his head. Soon after, a hint of excitement appeared in his eyes. Hey, finally a man with guts. This is a real man. He would rather die than be humiliated. Look at the bunch of cowardly turtles and trash above you. They are unworthy of being men and are even calling themselves the Hanyuan Immortal Sect. From now on, they will be called the Cowardly Turtle Immortal Sect. As the young man spoke, he eagerly walked to the middle-aged corpse and placed it in the middle of the city gate. He pointed at the corpse and shouted loudly, "Look, this is what heroes are like. You're great heroes, look at yourselves. Turtles, aren't you ashamed?" Chapter 744. Cursing Under the City Wall, 2/5. I'm going to kill you. This is too infuriating. This is too infuriating, you bastard. I'll remember you. I'll definitely kill you in the future. Are there any brothers who will rush over with me? I'll kill that fellow today, even if I have to die. Everyone, don't be rash, don't fall for their tricks. Our immortal sex experts will come over immediately. Furious voices rang out one after another. The disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect on the city wall nearly lost their minds and rushed over. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's disciples' taunts were filled with trash. Also, he actually called them cowards and said that their Chaos Origin Immortal Sect was cowards. A gentleman could be killed but not humiliated. This was no longer a simple insult. In an instant, dozens of people wanted to rush over, but were stopped by the people beside them. They could only listen to the ridicule with extremely gloomy faces. Aggrieved, incomparably aggrieved. However, they had no way at all. There were more than 50 terrifying experts who didn't know the depth of their strength standing in a row. There were also at least 10 infant realm experts from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. If they went out, their fate would definitely be the same as that middle-aged man's, dying miserably on the spot. Pooh! A middle-aged man was so angry that he directly spat out blood and panted heavily. The young man's eyes lit up when he saw the situation, and a smug expression appeared on his face. Behind him, the group of Dan Realm experts who felt that they were completely useless were also itching to make a move. Cough, cough! The Dan Realm experts from the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect and those who were half a step into the Dan Realm all let out a shrill cry. Cowardly Turtle Immortal Sect! Since you dared to attack our crown prince yesterday, why don't you even dare to come out of the city gates today? This is the gate of your Hanyuan Immortal Sect. You don't even dare to come out of your own home. Why are you still alive? Why don't you die? Trash, I'm talking about you. Why are you staring? Can your eyes kill me? Trash, trash, come, come. If you have the guts, let's fight one-on-one. For a moment, the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's dance stage experts pointed at the disciples in the city and mocked loudly. With 30 people joining, all sorts of mocking and disdainful words were heard in an instant. That voice not only made the faces of the Hanyuan Immortal Sect's disciples outside the city gate angry, but also made their eyes bloodshot. Even the Hunyuan immortal sect's disciples and family members inside the city who didn't come over clenched their fists and wished they could rush out. Humiliation, humiliation. When had their Chaos Origin immortal sect ever suffered such humiliation? And since they could not retaliate, how could they retaliate? Scold back. If they really scolded back, then the other party would have even more reason to mock them. They could already imagine that, after today, they would become a disgrace to all the immortal sects. A clown that was used as a joke by the other immortal sects. Emo Qinglong smiled when he saw the Yellow Heaven immortal sect disciples cursing the city. It's still very useful. Elder Feng smiled awkwardly and politely when he heard that. Although it was awkward, he was very satisfied with the effect. At this moment, on the main peak of the Chaos Origin immortal sect, 3 immortal gods stood in front, looking down at the elders and deacons of the Chaos Origin immortal sect. There were a total of 26 people. There were more than 40 experts of the Chaos Origin immortal sect who were above the infant realm. 15 of them died yesterday, and another one died today. The strength of the entire peak of the sect was directly lost by 30 to 40%. The 3 immortals stood on top with ugly expressions. Come, let's go. I want to see who dares to block the city gate of our Chaos Origin immortal sect apart from the Yellow Heaven immortal sect. Supreme Elder Jean Gujia, who was standing in the middle, said with a gloomy expression, "Let's go." The group of top-tier experts of the primordial immortal sect moved and flew toward the city gate. However, before they reached the gate, they heard mocking voices. This caused the 3 immortals of the primordial immortal sect to tremble, and their faces instantly turned extremely gloomy. Those insults were simply an insult to them and trampling on them. They, the great Chaos Origin immortal sect, had never suffered such a grievance before. The top experts from the Chaos Origin immortal sect following behind were also extremely embarrassed. A terrifying dark cloud gathered in the sky. The terrifying energy was already able to cause changes in nature. Grand Supreme Elder and Sect Leader are here. All the experts from our immortal sect are here. The Grand Elder must kill that group of people outside. He must teach them a lesson. Kill them. When the disciples of the immortal sect saw the immortals and experts of the immortal sect coming, their faces turned red as they shouted loudly. This was the only time that the disciples of the immortal sect lost their minds and did not welcome the Grand Elder and the others. When the 3 immortal gods heard the voices from below, their expressions became even more unsightly. They stood in the sky above the city gate. There were 3 immortal gods and more than 20 experts at the infant realm and above behind them. More than 60 infant realm experts. The 3 immortal gods of the Hunyuan immortal sect swept their gazes over and immediately saw the strength of the 100 people below. More than 60 infant realm experts. When they saw the strength of this group of people, a hint of solemnity flashed in the eyes of the 3 immortal gods, especially those 50 nascent realm experts who were lined up in a row. They were not from the Yellow Heaven immortal sect. Which faction are you from? You have participated in the matter between US and the Yellow Heaven immortal sect. Do you know the consequences? You will have to pay a heavy price. The Supreme Elder of the Chaos Origin immortal sect looked coldly at Emo Qinglong and the others. His voice resounded throughout the world. You dare to hurt our eldest princess? We will make your Chaos Origin immortal sect pay a heavy price. Emo Qinglong did not reply. At that moment, a cold voice came from the distant void. Everyone was stunned. The noisy Chaos Origin city immediately fell silent. The disciples standing on the city wall looked into the distance in shock. Your eldest princess. Upon hearing the immortal god's voice, the Chaos Origin immortal sect's Grand Elder's expression turned extremely ugly. The middle-aged man next to him had a thought. The image of the girl appeared in his mind. His expression changed, and he immediately sent a voice transmission to the Grand Elder. This caused a serious expression to appear in their eyes. There was actually an immortal god-level existence behind that girl. That attack yesterday had caused their Chaos Origin immortal sect to have an enemy with an immortal god, and it was a powerful enemy from an unknown faction. Clearly, the other party had already fought with the Yellow Heaven immortal sect. This caused the 3 immortal gods of the Chaos Origin immortal sect to have gloomy expressions on their faces. All their efforts had been for naught. Not only had they failed to kill that kid yesterday, but they had also provoked a terrifying force. Our Chaos Origin immortal sect does not intend to assassinate your eldest princess. Please forgive us if we implicate you. The sect leader of the Chaos Origin immortal sect said in a deep voice, I wonder how we can let this matter go. When we have killed enough people, we will naturally stop. Ao Jian's cold voice continued to be heard. Outrageous. Do you really think that our Hunyuan immortal sect is afraid of you? The supreme elder of the Hunyuan immortal sect roared with an extremely embarrassed expression. Close the city gates. No disciples are allowed to leave the city for the time being. I want to see how long they can stand here. The middle-aged immortal god ordered with an extremely embarrassed expression. Chapter 745. Panic Assassination 3/5. Close the city gate. No disciple is allowed to leave the city. When the middle-aged immortal god's voice resounded, all the surrounding disciples of the Chaos Origin immortal sect were stunned and their faces turned black. Close the city gate. An immortal sect was forced to close the city gate and was prohibited from leaving the city. This was simply the humiliation of the immortal sect. The faces of the 3 immortal gods of the Chaos Origin immortal sect were also very ugly. More than 60 infant realm and more than 60 infant realm experts were blocking the position at the city gate. With the strength of their Chaos Origin immortal sect, they were completely incomparable to them. Even if all the experts of the Chaos Origin immortal sect were to charge out, it would still not be enough for the other party to kill them. Moreover, their city rules forbade the immortal gods from attacking. As long as they attacked, it would violate the Immortal God Treaty. Not to mention the Immortal God Treaty, the immortal gods hidden in the surroundings would also find it difficult to allow them to break through. Even Ling Xiao was hidden in a corner around them. The 3 of them could not make a move, and the more than 60 infant realm experts outside the city had crushed the entire Chaotic Origin immortal sect. They could only close the city gates. Wait for them to leave. This was a very shameful thing to do, but there was no other way. Our Chaotic Origin immortal sect will remember this matter. In the future, you will definitely pay a terrible price for what you did today. The 3 immortal gods of the Chaos Origin immortal sect were not willing to stay here any longer. After saying those words, filled with killing intent, they snorted coldly and left. Close the city gates. No disciples are allowed to leave. Return to the city. An elder of the Chaos Origin immortal sect shouted in a low voice with an unsightly expression. His cold gaze swept across the crowd in front of the city gates before he turned around and left. Coward, why are you closing the city gates? Come out if you have the guts, Turtle Immortal Sect. Trash, you dare to assassinate our crown prince and his friends. Now, you don't even dare to come out. Outside the city, a group of Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's dance stage experts saw that they were actually going to close the city gate and mocked loudly. Hearing the voices coming from behind, the top-tier experts from the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect trembled slightly. They gritted their teeth and flew towards the Immortal Sect. Out of sight, out of mind, they did not dare to enter the city gate. As long as they did, the immortal gods would be able to kill them instantly. Aren't you all-powerful? Come in if you have the guts. Just barking outside. If you have the guts, come in. You're a bunch of trash." Seeing the immortal god and the top-tier experts of the immortal sect leave, the disciples of the immortal sect felt a little hopeless. This time, their immortal sect's face was going to be lost for sure. Therefore, they simply opened their mouths and started cursing outside. Damn it, they couldn't hold it in any longer. If they couldn't win, then they would curse. In any case, it was already very embarrassing. So what if they were to lose a little more face? You actually still closed the city gates. You bunch of cowards. If you have the guts, you can cower for the rest of your lives. If you have the guts, you can never come out again. If you have the guts, you can always stay outside. Motherfucker, do you want us to send you some tents and food? You bunch of bastards. Motherfucker, you don't even dare to come out of your own home. Yet you dare to bark at your own home. Aren't you ashamed? We are all from the same immortal sect, and we are all ashamed of you. The Chaos Origin Immortal Sect, who had given up their dignity, and the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect's group of dance stage experts began to curse. For a moment, the entire Chaos Origin city was filled with all sorts of curses. This caused the elders and deacons of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect to tremble. They don't dare to come in anyway, so let them curse. One of the deacons said in slight silence, "Let them curse. At the very least, they could vent their anger. After all, this was Chaos Origin City and they had the numbers. If they were to curse, they would not lose out." The corners of the elders' and deacons' mouths twitched, and they directly dealt with their own matters with an embarrassed expression. Chaos Origin Immortal Sect has lost a lot of face this time. After today, I believe that the entire Jianghu will become famous. Elder Feng said happily when he saw the scene. Today is just the beginning. Mo Qinglong's face revealed a faint smile, and his eyes flashed with coldness. Elder Feng was slightly silent as he sighed. It was too terrifying to offend such an enemy. He was certain that if it wasn't for the Immortal God Pact, the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect would have already turned into a river of blood. The fact that his sister was injured and sent 2 immortal gods meant that the Dragon King still had immortal gods under him. At the very least, the Dragon King was still around. Elder Feng, I've posted all the actions of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect on the Jianghu website. I've posted all the posts in the 8 cauldrons. Haha! Let's see how the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect will continue to survive in the Jianghu in the future. At this moment, the young man who had started cursing earlier walked to Elder Feng's side and said excitedly. Elder Feng smiled and patted his shoulder. Go back to the Immortal Sect and bring all the information about the elders, deacons, and heaven-chosen disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. Yes, Elder. The young man nodded and immediately flew toward the Immortal Sect. Time slowly passed, and 5 to 6 hours passed very quickly. Mo Qinglong and the others were still standing outside the city gate. As infant realm experts, it would not be a problem for them to not eat or drink for 1 to 2 months. A row of experts stood there, and no one in the entire Chaos Origin Immortal Sect was driven out of the city gate. Bang! This is too fucking depressing. Every area on the pugilistic world's internet now has news of our Chaotic Origin Immortal Sect being blocked. We have completely lost face. Now, the disciples of the other immortal sects are also calling us Turtle Immortal Sect. FUCK, I want to go out and kill those people outside and wash away our shame with their blood. Sigh, this time, our Chaos Origin Immortal Sect is completely defeated. The elders and deacons of the Immortal Sect failed to kill Feng Lingtian. Instead, they made us provoke a powerful enemy. I don't know how long those terrifying experts outside will block the Immortal Sect. As time goes by, we will become the laughingstock of the martial world. At night, in a restaurant in Chaos Origin City, 2 elders sat at a table on the top floor. They slammed the table angrily and shouted loudly with red faces. Situations like there's happened in many places in Hunyuan City. Come, drink more. Drink more today and forget about this unhappy matter. Even immortals can get drunk when they are drunk. Hee, drink more today. The two old men drank. The moon slowly rose, gradually silencing the irritable Hanyuan city. One by one, the elders, deacons, and disciples of the chaotic origin immortal sect returned to their homes or the immortal sections. Like many immortal sects, some infant realm experts lived in the city, and some lived in the immortal sections. When night fell, and most people fell asleep, in the center of the city, in the luxurious courtyard of an immortal sect's deacons, a faint white light fell on the door of the room, and it quietly opened. An old man was lying on the bed, snoring softly. Puchi! Suddenly, a strange white figure appeared, and blood splattered onto the bedsheets. The white light enveloped the old man, and he slowly disappeared. Chapter 746. In a panic assassination for fifths. Late at night, 4 to 5 hours. For people who slept, 4 to 5 hours was very short, but for an infant realm expert, 4 to 5 hours was enough to do a lot of things. In Mixed Yuan City, soundless and soundless sounds filled the entire city. What was brought was corpses. 500 meters away from the city of primordial chaos, more than 100 people were standing on the road. Bang! At this moment, a corpse suddenly landed on the ground with a loud sound. Hiss! This is the 11th corpse. This is an elder of the primordial immortal sect. The experts of the Yellow Heaven immortal sect looked at the corpse on the ground and sucked in a breath of cold air. A hint of terror appeared in their eyes. That's right, it was fear. Even if the corpses were their enemies, they still felt fear. Looking at the city in front of them, it was as if it was a ferocious beast that was devouring people. That terrifying formless and shadowless creature quietly attacked and killed 11 infant realm experts of a Hanyuan immortal sect within a short 2 to 3 hours in the huge city. This was an infant realm expert. If you make an enemy out of such an existence, you might not even know how you died. The members of the Yellow Heaven immortal sect felt their scalps go numb. Fortunately, we are not enemies. The Dragon Gate is really too terrifying. Elder Feng's eyes flickered as he said to Mo Qinglong, Hee, it will be bright in a while. Give the Chaos Origin Immortal sect a big gift. Mo Qinglong smiled faintly. There were more than 100 of such terrifying creatures in the Dragon Palace. If the Hanyuan immortal sect sees these corpses, they will probably despair. Elder Feng could already imagine the reactions of everyone in the Hanyuan immortal sect. He looked forward with some anticipation. The sky gradually brightened. In front of Mo Qinglong and the others, there were a total of 17 corpses. Among them, there were 14 corpses of infant realm experts and 3 corpses of the Hanyuan immortal sect's outstanding heaven-chosen disciples. Hang them on the mountain peak on the right. Mo Qinglong looked around and waved his arm, bringing one corpse after another to the mountain peak on the left. That was a rather conspicuous place. Even in the Hanyuan city, if one looked carefully, they would be able to see it. He believed that this great gift was enough to cause the entire Chaos Origin immortal sect to boil. Cowardly disciples of the Turtle immortal sect, get up. Don't cower in a turtle shell. The sun had just risen, and an angry roar was transmitted into the city. Bastards, this group of damn fellows. Fuck him, percent at percent. Weren't you the ones who were scolded yesterday? If I didn't go out, you wouldn't dare to come in. But I can still scold you. Go, motherfucker. Let's properly greet their 18 generations of ancestors today. Furious curses quickly came from the Chaos Origin immortal sect. The immortal sect disciples flew directly to the city gate and prepared to curse. I'll give you a big gift. Please look at the mountain on the right. Ha ha ha. The youth's loud laughter was heard. I'll give your grandmother my foot. If you have the guts to enter our city, I guarantee cough, 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 cough. An irascible young man directly spat at that person loudly. However, When he looked at the mountain on the right from the corner of his eyes, he was instantly stunned. His eyes widened and his teeth began to tremble. His face was filled with fear. The dozens of youths in the surroundings also looked over in bewilderment. However, in an instant, it was as if an icy spring had surged into his heart, causing them to feel their breathing quicken. Impossible, this is impossible. You have entered the city. No, this is impossible. It must be fake, it must be fake. When the dozens of youths saw the corpses on the mountain peak, they nearly collapsed on the spot. One by one, they cried out involuntarily. Haha, you say we don't dare to enter the city? Do you recognize the people above us? When the youth saw their expressions, he revealed an excited expression. The two immortals had been fighting for hundreds of years. Now that the Chaos Origin Immortal sect had suffered heavy losses, it was something that the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect was most willing to see. Seeing their panic and fear, the youth was extremely excited. Not good. Something has happened to the elders and deacons. At this time, the dozens of young men completely ignored the young man's mockery. They all shouted into the city in panic, their voices trembling. They were dead. 14 elders and deacons were all killed overnight. In addition to the 14 nascent realm experts, there were also the most outstanding disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect. This filled their hearts with panic. They had actually entered the Hunyuan city last night and had even killed their elders and deacons. What frightened them the most was that no one had noticed and no battle had occurred. What kind of existence was it that could kill so many of their experts in one night? The panicked cries immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the Hunyuan city. All the disciples of Chaos Origin Immortal sect were slightly stunned. Something happened. What happened? What's going on? One by one, experts who had reached the dance stage flew over with faces full of shock. Look over there, quickly look over there. A young man pointed at the mountain peak on the right with a face full of fear. The corpse that was hung on it made their hearts shiver. What? Everyone looked over and instantly felt their scalps go numb. How is this possible? They entered our primordial city? There wasn't any fighting last night. How could it be? How could a group of elders and deacons be assassinated? They are at the infant realm. Who is it? Could it be that the immortal god acted last night to assassinate us? No. The immortal god should be able to sense the immortal god's actions. The disciples of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect opened their eyes wide and shouted in shock. Report to the immortal god immediately. A dance stage expert moved and flew towards the immortal sect with a face full of panic. Something has happened. Something has happened. More and more Chaos Origin City's immortal sect disciples rushed over when they heard the terrified screams. When they saw the corpse on the mountain peak, their bodies went numb. Panic quickly spread toward the city. In just one night, such an immortal sect expert had died, and they didn't even know how the other party had attacked. This made them feel terrified. If the other party had come to assassinate them, then their corpses would have already been hung on the city wall. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, 3 immortal god experts emitting terrifying auras instantly flew over. You're courting death. A fierce roar resounded throughout the entire Chaos Origin City. They were furious. When the 3 immortal gods of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect saw the corpses on the mountain peak, their faces revealed furious expressions. 17 corpses and 14 elders and deacons had once again cut off more than half of the power of the Chaos Origin Immortal sect. Presently, the entire Immortal sect only had 10+ infant realm experts left. Chapter 747, Panic Assassination, 5/5. You deserve to die. The terrifying power of immortals and gods covered the entire sky, and the wind and clouds changed color. The head elder of the Hunyuan Immortal sect, who was standing in the middle, had his hair standing on end, and he was exuding a terrifying pressure. Below, the faces of the disciples of the Hunyuan immortal sect changed drastically. Under the terrifying pressure, they directly lay on the ground, their eyes filled with shock. What, you want to make a move? At this moment, a golden sword arrived instantly, and Ao Jian's voice appeared above the group of draconids. Haha! Don't tell me that our Hunyuan immortal sect supreme elder wants to challenge the immortal god agreement. A maniacal laughter was heard, and soon after, another figure appeared beside Ao Jian. Ling Xiao! The Hunyuan immortal sect's supreme elder's body trembled slightly, and the anger in his eyes could not be suppressed. Ling Xiao, and you don't go too far. You killed more than a dozen of our immemorial immortal sect's infant realm experts. This enmity is irreconcilable. The first elder suppressed the urge to make a move and roared in a low voice. Haha! Golden Ancient Jia, when you sent out all the infant realm experts to assassinate my son, why didn't you think of the consequences now? Regret? It's too late. I'll just continue to kill. What can you do to me? A terrifying aura also surged out from Ling Xiao's body, and a storm raged above his head. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Good. Jin Gujia clenched his fists tightly, and his gaze was cold as he stared at Ao Jian. It was the hands of that strange creature of yours, right? Today, our grudge will definitely. We won't rest until one of us dies. Before Jin Gujia could finish his words, Ao Jian looked at the old man and said with a calm expression. The golden ancient Jia's expression changed slightly. He gritted his teeth and said, We will not rest until we die. We only killed 17. Don't worry. We will leave in 3 days. Therefore, on the 3rd day here, I will let you know the consequences of injuring our eldest princess. I will also let you feel fear. Ao Jian stared at the golden ancient Jia and said calmly, 3 days. The golden ancient Jia and the 2 immortal gods beside him had a drastic change in expression as they stared coldly at Ao Jian. Haha! 3 days later, the heaven and earth will still belong to our Yellow Heaven immortal sect. Do you have any objections? At this moment, Ling Xiao immediately transmitted his voice to Ao Jian and told him about the heaven and earth. The heaven and earth was a very powerful place for cultivation. It was also because of this place that the experts of their Yellow Heaven immortal sect were able to suppress the other 2 immortal sections. Now, Ling Xiao had promised some benefits and wanted Ao Jian to help him stabilize heaven and earth. Ao Jian nodded slowly. Ling Xiao had given him enough benefits. Moreover, it was better to support his allies than let his enemies develop. Ao Jian stared at the golden ancient Jia. Heaven and earth. The golden ancient Jia's face was almost bleeding. He looked at Ao Jian beside him and clenched his fists. Leave this place immediately. Heaven and earth will still belong to your Yellow Heaven immortal sect. The Yellow Heaven immortal sect's condition is their condition. We are us. Ao Jian stared at Jin Gujia and said calmly, Phew. Jin Gujia took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. There will be plenty of time in the future. With that, he moved and flew directly toward the immortal sect. Don't sleep for the next 3 days. We will protect you. The sect leader of the Chaos Origin immortal sect shouted in a deep voice. His eyes were filled with helplessness as he moved and disappeared. Don't sleep for the next 3 days. Everyone in Chaos Origin City was stunned as grief and indignation appeared on their faces. Not only did they not dare to go out when they were blocked at the city gate, even the city was not safe anymore. They could not even sleep. They even needed the protection of the immortals. And their great elder had made a major compromise. Their Chaos Origin immortal sect was completely defeated. After today, their Chaos Origin immortal sect would once again become the laughingstock of the Jianghu. There will be some trouble in the next 3 days. They are already on guard. With 3 immortals protecting them, it will be very difficult to carry out an assassination. Ling Xiao frowned slightly and said to Ao Jian. Ao Jian nodded slowly. Unless they had been guarding Hunyuan City, the chances of success in the assassination during these 3 days were very, very small. Moreover, it was not worth the risk. Lord Ao Jian, let's go back directly. Let's let Hunyuan City fall into panic for the next 2 days. Mo Qinglong's eyes flashed as he said to Ao Jian. All right, let's go. The Dragon King's task has been completed. Ao Jian nodded and said to the void, Brother Ao Yao, let's go. All right. A voice replied from the void. Let's go. Mo Qinglong said to the crowd as he flew towards the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect. Let's go as well. Elder Feng said to the group of Immortal Sect disciples. Yes. The group nodded. We're leaving. You can leave the city now. You can sleep well tonight. Don't worry, really. The Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect youth rolled his eyes and shouted towards the direction of the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect. Elder Feng smiled when he heard his voice. They had left, but did the people of Chaos Origin City really dare to come out? Did they really dare to sleep at night? No, they definitely didn't dare. Because they didn't know where a terrifying existence had appeared to kill them. They didn't dare to gamble. They've left this place. They've left. It must be their scheme. They left on purpose, and then came to assassinate us at night. 14 elders and deacons were actually assassinated without a sound. What kind of terrifying assassins are they? Even the assassins of the assassination clan aren't that terrifying. That's right, we can't be careless. Seeing them leave, the people in Mixed Yuan City all had ugly expressions as they conversed. They weren't careless at all. They were still tense. It was too terrifying. The death of so many experts in one night had already caused them to panic. Just as Elder Feng had guessed, they wouldn't relax. Instead, they became even more vigilant. And the strange demons displayed their terrifying assassination techniques for the first time, causing the entire immortal sect to be on tenterhooks. There were still more than 100 strange demons in the Dragon Palace. If all of them came out, they would be able to intimidate more than half of the entire Jianghu. For the next 3 days, the city gates of Hunyuan City were still tightly shut. No one dared to sleep day and night. After 3 days of peace, not a single person died and there were no attacks. This made all the disciples of the Hunyuan Immortal Sect look even more embarrassed. They had been played. Although they knew that they had been played, they could only accept it. This matter was once again exposed on the Jianghu website. The Hunyuan Celestial Sect had once again become the laughingstock of the Jianghu Celestial Sect. At this moment, Wang Xian walked out of Jiang City. There was a sudden change at Guan Shuqing's side. According to Prime Minister Gui's report, terrifying flames would erupt from Shuqing's body from time to time. The flames could not be controlled and were extremely terrifying. After Wang Xian heard about this, his expression changed drastically. He immediately went to the Celestial Sect personally to look for spiritual herbs and elixirs. Chapter 748. Searching for Herbs, 1/5. Occasionally, there will be terrifying flames emitted from her body. The temperature of the flames is extremely terrifying. Each time, the flames will cause her pain. Wang Xian muttered as he looked at a map in his hand. When he learned that Guan Shuqing's flames were coming out from her body, he realized the severity of the problem. It might be related to the vermilion bird's blood essence. The vermilion bird was a peak race that was comparable to the divine dragon. They possessed an extremely terrifying ability, Nirvana. After Nirvana, the vermilion bird would be even more terrifying after being reborn. Similarly, the vermilion bird's vitality was extremely terrifying. A single drop of their blood could resurrect it. It was comparable to the ancient god-feeding Kun Lord. Wang Xian didn't pay too much attention back then. From the looks of it now, there must be something wrong with the vermilion bird's bloodline. Dragon King. At this moment, Prime Minister Gui's voice was heard. A figure flew over at a terrifying speed. On Prime Minister Gui's back was a crystal box that was emitting a chilly aura. The crystal box was about the size of a human. There were beautiful patterns carved on it. "It's here." Wang Xian reached out his hand and took the crystal box from him. He opened it slowly. "Dragon King, this is the level 13 metal ice soul stone that you have obtained. I have made it into a crystal bed. The cold properties of the ice soul stone can suppress the eruption of flames and reduce the pain on the Dragon Queen's body." Prime Minister Gui said to Wang Xian. "Okay." Wang Xian looked at Guan Shuqing, who was lying inside with a blush on her face. He gently touched her face and sighed. He didn't expect that an injury would cause Shuqing to remain unconscious. "You can go back now." Wang Xian said to Prime Minister Gui, "It's the Dragon King." Prime Minister Gui nodded and flew toward the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian closed the lid and carried Guan Shuqing on his back as he walked forward. Sun Lingxiu and Lan Qingwei didn't follow him out this time. Wang Xian told the two girls to stay in Jiang City and rest well. The immortal gods from the Mingwang Immortal Sect and the Puppet Immortal Sect said that the innate Immortal Sect is good at growing spiritual herbs. They have a lot of spiritual herbs over there. Wang Xian muttered in his heart. His gaze swept across the map again. The territory of China had undergone a huge change. The 8 new cauldron worlds had increased the territory by more than half. The innate immortal sect belonged to the world of Tangding. Tangding was considered a relatively strong region among the 9 cauldrons. The entire region had 2 immortal sects and 1 immortal academy. The immortal academy was a relatively special force compared to the immortal sections. It was also the only immortal academy among all the powerful forces. It existed in the form of an academy. The Ice God Immortal Sect, the Natural Born Immortal Sect, and the True Martial Immortal Academy were the 3 major forces of Tangding. Tangding's region was the same as the Yongchang world. There was only one huge city, called Tang City. Tang City was incomparably huge. It was much bigger than the first-tier cities in China. Zhenwu Academy was located at the center of the city. Wang Xian was here to look for medicine. He headed straight towards the direction of the natural-born celestial sect. If he wanted to enter the natural-born celestial sect, he had to pass through Tang City. This city is even bigger than Yongchang City. After entering the area of Tangding, Wang Xian carried a crystal box that was the size of a human on his back. He scanned his surroundings. There was a wide road which was divided into a human-shaped road and a horse-drawn carriage road. Come, come, come. Everyone line up. When you are browsing the Soup City, remember not to litter and abide by the rules of the Soup City. Remember to remember. At this moment, a voice came from the side. Wang Xian looked over curiously and realized that it was actually a tourist group. There were more than 100 people in the tourist group. A group of tourists looked around curiously. Looks like the 8 cauldrons world will gradually integrate into the real world in the future. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the city. A smile appeared on his face as he walked straight into the city. Walking in the city felt like he was in ancient times. Although Wang Xian was dressed differently, the people around him did not pay too much attention to him. As he passed by the center of the city, Wang Xian saw the entrance of the Jinwu Celestial Academy. It was like a miracle in the world. It was filled with majesty. Wang Xian was not here for a vacation. He walked straight in. Guji, Guji. Just as Wang Xian passed by the Jinwu Celestial Academy and was in the path of the unique wooden houses on both sides, a creature suddenly flew over from the upstairs window. The creature was about 1/2 meter in size. Its entire body was green in color and emitted a strong wood attribute energy. The strange thing was that the creature had a pair of eyes and its branches were legs. The creature pounced toward Wang Xian and opened its mouth to bite him. Huh! Wang Xian was slightly stunned. He lowered his head to take a look. The crystal box on his back was supported by a branch formed from the green dragon attribute. Meanwhile, the creature was biting toward the branch formed from the green dragon attribute with glowing eyes. Bang! Wang Xian's expression didn't change as he waved his arm toward the creature. Goodgy, goodgy! The creature's expression changed drastically as a look of horror appeared in his eyes. Bang! His body crashed into the wooden house. Ching ching! A surprised voice came from the house upstairs. A net formed by trees caught the creature's body. A woman appeared in front of the creature in an instant. The woman had fiery red lips, raised her eyebrows, and coiled her hair. She had a unique, heroic bearing. She had a strong sense of majesty. She stretched out her hand to catch the creature and sized it up carefully. Goodgy, goodgy! The creature looked at Wang Xian timidly and turned around to look at the woman pitifully. Young man, you've gone too far. The woman caressed its head and a cold look flashed across her eyes. She looked at Wang Xian gently. Take care of your pet. Wang Xian looked at the woman and said plainly, Ha! The woman laughed when she heard Wang Xian's words. She picked up the creature slowly and raised her head slightly. In an instant, a faint aura engulfed Wang Xian. You have offended my dignity. Come and apologize to Qing Qing. What is this? A hint of surprise flashed across Wang Xian's eyes as he raised his eyebrows. Offended your dignity. Wang Xian, who was already in a bad mood due to Guan Shuqing's incident, had a hint of coldness in his eyes. Don't look for trouble. A hint of dragon aura engulfed the woman directly. Cracks appeared on the ground in an instant as it extended towards the woman. You are also an immortal. The woman's expression changed drastically. She felt the pressure from Wang Xian and a hint of fear flashed across her eyes. An intermediate immortal. At least an intermediate immortal's pressure. It was one level higher than her. Wang Xian glanced at her and ignored her. He walked straight in. My lord, I have offended you. The woman's voice rang out from behind. Her expression turned slightly ugly when she saw Wang Xian ignoring her. No wonder Qing Qing ran towards him. It's because his body is emitting an even denser energy than mine. Which immortal from the celestial sect is coming to my cauldron for? The immortal from the lower level was one level higher than the middle level immortal and had reached the level of an immortal god. Those who were addressed as higher than themselves were addressed as Sir. The woman looked at Wang Xian's figure and revealed a look of astonishment. He was heading in the direction of their immortal sect. Chapter 749. What do you need? 2/5. I can easily meet an immortal god. He should be an immortal god from the true martial immortal house. Wang Xian walked through the main road of the special wooden house and pondered in his heart. The true martial immortal house was very powerful. It was rumored that there were 4 to 5 immortal god powerhouses and 2 intermediate immortals. However, his purpose of coming here was not the true martial immortal house. He did not have the intention to chat with other immortal gods. The problem with Shu Qing had to be solved as soon as possible. Wang Xian's footsteps were very fast, giving off an illusory feeling. After more than an hour, he arrived at the entrance of the natural-born celestial sect. Natural-born celestial sect. 2 gigantic trees stood tall. Each tree was at least 10 meters in diameter and 100 meters in height. Their lush leaves blocked off a huge area. The 2 trees intersected and formed a door-shaped entrance. Inside, rows of unknown trees blocked off a subordinate's path. It looked very spectacular. The 100 Flowers garden is blooming today. We just need to get a drop of the 100 flowers liquid today. The 100 Flowers garden. one of the 3 gardens of the natural-born celestial sect, is blooming. The 100 Flowers liquid can calm one's mind and mind. It is extremely beneficial for cultivation. I hope I have something that the natural-born celestial sect needs to exchange for it. Haha, even if I can't get it, I would be satisfied just to take a look at Fairy Fang's beauty. At this moment, Wang Xian suddenly heard a group of people conversing behind him. Focus your mind and calm your heart. 100 Flower liquid? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. A contemplative look appeared on his face as he looked behind him. A group of more than 30 people, including young and middle-aged men, walked towards them. They were all wearing the same uniform. The words Jinwu were written on their chests. When the crowd saw Wang Xian standing at the entrance with a coffin-like coffin on his back, they glanced at him curiously. Then, they ignored him and walked straight in. When Wang Xian saw them walking in, he followed behind them. 50 spirit stones for each person entering the 100 Flowers garden. At the end of the path, blocked by trees, 2 young men stood there and spoke to the crowd. It was obvious that this group of people from the True Martial University knew the rules as well. They immediately handed over 50 spirit stones. Wang Xian did not hesitate and took out 50 spirit stones directly. Currently, he did not have many spirit stones in his hands. However, he still had a few 100,000 spirit stones. As he was unfamiliar with the natural-born immortal sect, this 100 Flower garden was an opportunity for him. With his current strength, although he could fly directly into the natural-born immortal sect to talk to the immortals, he did not know the rules here. He was here to ask for medicine. It would be troublesome if the natural-born immortal sect disliked him. After all, the natural-born immortal sect was not weak. The entire natural-born immortal sect was a sea of plants. Even some buildings in the distance were built on huge trees. It looked like the elves in novels. He followed the students of the True Martial Immortal Academy to the left. Soon, a colorful sea of flowers appeared in his line of sight. It's too beautiful. Every time I come here, I don't want to leave. A girl's voice came from the front. There were all kinds of flowers in front of them. Colorful butterflies were dancing on them. The entire sea of flowers didn't look like the mortal world or the immortal world. When they came to the center of the sea of flowers, there was an empty space. There were many seats placed on it, surrounding the seats in an arc. There were more than 100 seats, and there were already many people sitting there. Wang Xian swept his gaze across and realized that everyone was waiting for something. He found a remote seat and sat down. "Hey, brother, what are you carrying on your back?" Wang Xian was sitting in a seat when a young man suddenly asked curiously. Wang Xian turned his head and looked at the thin and weak young man sitting beside him. He said faintly, "The one I love." You are a weirdo." The skinny young man shook his head speechlessly when he heard his words. Wang Xian ignored him and looked at the cup of tea on the table. "Brother, you don't look familiar. You are not a student of the True Martial Immortal College and don't seem to be from the Ice God Celestial Sect. Where did you come from?" The skinny young man looked at Wang Xian's attire curiously and asked enthusiastically, "It's from Jiang City. What kind of tea is this?" Wang Xian picked up the teacup and took a sip. Instantly he felt refreshed. It was as though he had taken a sip of herbal tea in summer, and it had entered his heart. Jiang City? This is the 100 Flowers tea. It collects the fragrance of the 100 flowers and covers it. When the tea is boiled, take a sip to calm your mind. The skinny young man explained to Wang Xian and looked at him curiously. "Why? You don't know?" Wang Xian shook his head. "Is the effect of the 100 Flowers liquid much stronger than this tea?" "Of course. This is just the fragrance of the 100 flowers, while the 100 Flowers liquid is the liquid of the 100 flowers. The two are naturally not on the same level. The 100 Flowers liquid is equivalent to a top-grade grade 6 elixir. It is extremely precious. I wonder if I can exchange it for a drop this time." The skinny young man's eyes lit up as he spoke. "Bing Chuan Yun is here. Sigh, there are so many big shots here today. My hope is a little slim. Suddenly, the skinny young man saw the group of people who walked in and said helplessly. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the group. It was a young man who was wearing white clothes. He was handsome, and there was a hint of confidence between his brows. The group of young men sat not far from them. There are many people here. Senior Sister Baihua, what do you want exchange for this time? Hee, it's the harvest season again. At this moment, in the 100 Flowers garden, a few girls were walking over with smiles on their faces. There were more than 10 girls dressed in clothes with a 100 flowers pattern. In the middle of them was an exceptionally stunning girl. On her shoulders, there were 2 7-colored butterflies the size of a palm. The butterflies were not decorations, but living creatures. Beside this girl, a girl with a slightly inferior appearance was on her left. She had a proud expression on her face. The two of them were clearly one step ahead of the girls around them, revealing their identities. Look, Flower Fairy, this is your first time seeing her, right? The beauty ranked 3rd in the world of martial arts is ranked 3rd among the 20 immortal sections. Even if you can't get the 100 flower liquid this time, it's worth it to look at Flower Fairy. The skinny boy next to him smacked his lips and muttered to himself. Chuan Yin. A group of more than 10 girls came to a platform in the center. When the girl next to Flower Fairy saw the handsome young man, surprise appeared in her arrogant eyes, and she immediately walked over. The young man smiled at the girls, and a hint of admiration flashed in his eyes as he looked at Flower Fairy. Thank you all for coming today. This year, there are a total of 10 drops of 100 flower liquid in the 100 Flower garden. Just like in previous years, you can barter with your items. If you are satisfied, you can directly exchange them. Flower Fairy stood in the middle and took out 10 jade bottles. The jade bottles were very small, and one could see a drop of colorful liquid inside. Chapter 750. What do you need? 3/5. The 100 flower liquid was placed on a stone table on the table. There was a special flower growing on the stone table. The flower was like a palm, holding it on top. Everyone, the first drop of 100 flower liquid. Everyone can take out their own items to trade. Those who are selected will carry out the trade. The 100 Flower Fairy gently tapped, and a flower on the stone table grew longer and was placed in front of them. She wore a flower dress, had delicate hands, 2 beautiful butterflies, and had a delicate face. She was the 3rd most beautiful person in the world, so she definitely deserved her name. 2 grade 7 radiant wind grass, 1 stalk. 1 grade 6 medicinal pill, Ganoderma orchid pill. Grade 11 wood attribute scepter. 10 clear blue flower seeds. Just as the Flower Fairy sect finished speaking, a group of middle-aged youths took out their items and shouted loudly. The group of girls beside the 100 Flowers Immortal sect were looking at the items happily. The 100 Flowers liquid was a special item. It was comparable to a top grade 6 elixir. However, it was very special. Even for an infant stage powerhouse, it had some use. Therefore, it was very precious. A grade 10 wood spirit pearl. The skinny young man beside Wang Xian also shouted loudly. When he shouted out the wood spirit pearl, the girls' eyes lit up as they looked over. Flower Fairy also looked over. It was a pity that there was a hint of disappointment in her eyes. The wood spirit pearl was very useful to them, but it was a pity that its level was too low. 2 level, 11 wood-attributed spirit weapons. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the items around him and took out 2 wood-attributed scepters. Currently, Wang Xian had the most spirit weapons. He also had more than 20 wood-attributed spirit weapons, including 5 to 6 grade, 12 wood-attributed spirit weapons. All of these were obtained from killing the disciples of the Holy Medicine sect of the Holy Doctor sect. The crowd was slightly surprised when they saw Wang Xian taking out 2 grade, 11 wood-attributed spirit weapons. Compared to spirit weapons, elixirs were more precious. The 100-flower liquid could at most be compared to 1 grade 11 spiritual artifact. It was a loss for Wang Xian to take out 2 of them. All right, the first drop of 100-flower liquid will belong to this young master. The flower fairy looked at Wang Xian and said with a smile. With a wave of her arm, the 100-flower liquid flew directly towards him. Wang Xian also threw the spiritual artifact over and caught the 100-flower liquid. Brother, you really don't show your true colors. You're just a nouveau riche, exchanging 2 grade 11 spiritual artifacts for the 100-flower liquid. TSK is K. The skinny young man at the side looked at Wang Xian and sighed with envy. Wang Xian smiled. He opened the jade bottle and sniffed it. Instantly, a fragrance that made him quiet came from inside. It seemed to have a calming effect on his soul. Wang Xian moved his arm and placed the crystal box behind him on the stone table in front of him. After opening it gently for half a meter, Wang Xian poured the 100 flowers liquid into Guan Shuqing's mouth, gently. The skinny young man at the side was stunned when he saw Wang Xian opening the crystal box and seeing Guan Shuqing inside. He widened his eyes when he saw Wang Xian pouring the 100 flowers liquid into her mouth directly. He is really someone that I like. The skinny young man muttered with a shocked expression. Pouring the 100 flowers liquid that was exchanged for 2 grade 11 spirit tools into her mouth directly was extremely extravagant. Wang Xian stared at Guan Shuqing's expression. When he saw her flushed face slowly returning to normal and her breathing becoming more stable, a hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. It works, it really works. He heaved a heavy sigh of relief. As long as it works. I'll take the second bottle of 100 flowers liquid. It's a level 12 wood attribute spirit weapon. This spirit weapon is not an ordinary spirit weapon, but a wooden hairpin. Wearing it on the body of the flower fairy is its best destination. At this moment, the second bottle of 100 flower liquid began to be exchanged, and a young man's voice sounded. A level 12 would attribute spirit tool. My God, Glacier Cloud has invested a lot. Exchanging for a level 12 spirit tool is simply a huge loss. Glacier Cloud's intentions aren't in the line. He's clearly trying to curry favor with Flower Fairy. TSK. I've always heard that Glacier Cloud likes Flower Fairy, but now it seems like he lives up to his reputation. A perfect match. Senior Brother Bing is the most outstanding disciple of our Ice God Immortal sect. He is worthy of Flower Fairy. When the surrounding people saw the item that Bing Chuanyin took out, they automatically put away their own items. They did not want to compete for this drop of 100 flower liquid. When the girl sitting next to Bing Chuanyin saw him looking at her junior sister with admiration, her eyes revealed a look of jealousy and her face was embarrassed. Seeing that he was holding a grade 12 spiritual artifact, Flower Fairy frowned slightly and said, Young Master Bing's grade 12 spiritual artifact is too valuable. I'll give you 2 drops of 100 flower liquid. Bing Chuanyun's expression turned ugly when he saw her giving him 2 drops. He shook his head slowly and said, All right then, we'll do as Fairy says. Wait. At this moment, Wang Xian stood up slowly and said, 1 grade 12 wood attribute spiritual artifact and 1 grade 11 wood attribute spiritual artifact. What the FUCK? Are you serious? This is crazy. Is he going after Flower Fairy as well? It's that young man again. 1 level 12 spiritual weapon and 1 level 11 spiritual weapon in exchange for 2 drops of 100 flower liquid. This was a huge loss. No one would make such a stupid deal. It was no exaggeration to say that these 2 spiritual weapons could be exchanged for at least 6 to 7 drops. Which immortal sect is he from? If he isn't from the Ice God Immortal sect, he doesn't seem to be from our true martial immortal college. Could it be that some rich second generation from an immortal sect is chasing after fairy flower? Some people stared at Wang Xian in bewilderment. Others did not pay much attention to his purchase of the first drop of 100-flower liquid. However, the price he offered this time was simply too extravagant. It was even more extravagant than Glacier Cloud. Flower Fairy was stunned as well. She looked at Wang Xian with astonishment in her heart. Could it be that he was really pursuing her? Otherwise, why would he spend such a huge price to purchase her 100-flower liquid? Thinking of this, Flower Fairy couldn't help but size up Wang Xian. Based on his looks, he wasn't any worse than Glacier Cloud. He had an ordinary aura about him. He wasn't very attractive, but he was very attractive. Young master, are you sure you want to exchange 2 spirit tools for 2 drops of 100-flower liquid? The Flower Fairy asked Wang Xian curiously. She was just curious, but she didn't have many thoughts. That's right. Wang Xian nodded. The 100-flower liquid was very useful to Shu Qing. He didn't care about 1 or 2 spirit tools. Beside him, Bing Chuanyun frowned as he stared at Wang Xian. He then raised his eyebrows. Since this young master wants to exchange 2 drops of 100 flowers liquid for such a valuable item, I will give it to you. I will also let the Flower Fairy earn a little more. Hee, I want the lower ones, he said with a smile as though he was thinking of the Flower Fairy. It was indeed able to give the Flower Fairy a good impression. The Flower Fairy nodded her head slowly. After all, this was a trade and not a direct gift to her. There was no reason for her to reject him. Here. The Flower Fairy threw 2 drops of 100-flower liquid over. Wang Xian also threw the spiritual weapon over. Then give me the next 2 drops of 100-flower liquid, Flower Fairy, Bing Chuanyun said with a faint smile on his face. All right. The Flower Fairy nodded her head. Wait, I want the remaining 7 drops of flower liquid. What do you need? Chapter 751, Chasing After a Fairy? 4/5. Wait a minute. I want the remaining 7 drops of 100-flower liquid. What do you need? When Wang Xian finished his sentence. When he thought of this sentence, everyone around was stunned, including the 100-flower fairy. Even Glacier Cloud, who was standing there, froze instantly. 7 drops of 100-flower liquid? What do you need? What did this mean? What do you need? This young man is obviously chasing after the 100-flower fairy. No way is he really here to chase after the 100-flower fairy? Otherwise, why would the 100-flower fairy say what she needs? Just how rich is he to be able to say something so confident? What do you need? It can't be the descendants of other immortal gods, right? It's really possible. Fuck, you actually came to flirt with our flower fairy. Everyone around was stunned. Following that, they whispered softly and stared at Wang Xian in astonishment. Bing Chuanyun's face turned gloomy. Flower Fairy stared at Wang Xian in astonishment and frowned slowly. Young master, the 100-flower liquid is a barter. If you can take out something more valuable than what we have here, or something that we like, we can trade it directly. 3 grade, 12 spiritual weapons, and 3 grade, 11 spiritual weapons. Wang Xian looked at the 100-flower fairy and said directly, "Holy shit, so powerful! To casually bring out 4 grade, 12 spiritual weapons. How is he so rich?" Grade, 12 spiritual weapons were not like cabbages. Many experts in the infant realm might not even have grade, 12 spiritual weapons. Some immortals only used grade, 12 spiritual weapons. Each grade, 12 spiritual weapon was enough to cause 2 infant realm experts to fight and even risk their lives. Now that Wang Xian had taken out 4 of them at once, they wouldn't believe it, even if they were beaten to death, if he wasn't chasing after Flower Fairy. Even Flower Fairy felt that this young man must be chasing after her. Otherwise, Why would he take out such a precious item to exchange for 10 drops of 100-flower liquid? For a moment, Flower Fairy fell silent. Among the many suitors, there was not a single one who could take out 4 grade, 12 spirit tools at once. Even Glacier Cloud only took out a grade, 12 spirit tool this time. She did not immediately agree because she would not accept even the most precious item given to her by someone she did not like. She didn't dare to accept such a precious item from a young man whom she had met for the first time. If you aren't satisfied with these items, tell me what you need. I will try my best to satisfy you. Wang Xian frowned slightly when he saw that Flower Fairy didn't say anything. He told her directly, "Fuck, so domineering. Fuck, you are so domineering even when chasing Flower Fairy. You are indeed a nouveau riche." Awesome. Everyone was stunned once again. Trying to satisfy you? How confident was he? Flower Fairy pursed her lips and looked at Wang Xian. He was indeed domineering. None of her suitors dared to speak to her like that. This gave her a strange feeling. Wow, he's so cool. Oh my God, Senior Sister Flower, he's so cool. Nouveau riche, quick, quick. What does Senior Sister need? Tell me. The girls beside Flower Fairy were completely shocked. The way he pursued her was simply too domineering. What do you need? I will try my best to satisfy you. The group of girls said excitedly to Flower Fairy. Flower Fairy pursed her lips, but she still gritted her teeth. Let's exchange items 1 drop at a time. Bing Chuanyin heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Flower Fairy's attitude. Wang Xian was a little impatient when he saw her dilly-dallying. As for the words of the people around him, he heard them clearly, however, pursuing her. Bullshit. Everything was for the pleasure of love. Although this Flower Fairy was pretty, she was only comparable to Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyuan, and the rest. Regardless of the transaction, I want everything. Wang Xian was a little impatient. Tell me what you want, or 3 grade, 12 spiritual artifacts, and 3 grade, 11 spiritual artifacts. I don't think anyone can offer a higher price than me. Fuck. The corners of the mouths of the crowd couldn't help but twitch when they saw how domineering Wang Xian was. Even those infant-stage powerhouses were speechless as they watched. One could really do whatever they wanted with money, even if it was to chase after a beauty. At this moment, the skinny young man sitting next to Wang Xian opened his mouth in a daze. His eyes were filled with shock. Perhaps among everyone present, he was the only one who knew that this young man was not chasing after the Flower Fairy. He was doing it for the person he loved. All right. When the Flower Fairy saw how domineering Wang Xian was, she stared at him and gritted her teeth. Level 12 with Spirit Pearl, 1 level 12 with Spirit Pearl. I'll give you all the 100-flower liquid. Seeing Flower Fairy state her conditions, everyone around could not help but sigh. Having money could really increase the chances of chasing after the goddess. Even Bing Chuanyun's expression was extremely ugly. Would Spirit Pearl? Wang Xian frowned. Back when he killed the members of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect, he did have a with Spirit Pearl. There was even a level 13 with Spirit Pearl. However, all those with Spirit Pearls allowed Wang Xian to nurture the Dragon Pearl. Currently, he had a level 13 green Dragon Pearl in its complete form. He really didn't have a with Spirit Pearl. I don't have a with Spirit Pearl. Wang Xian frowned and shook his head slowly. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the surrounding people heaved a sigh of relief. However, Wang Xian moved his arm and a staff that was emitting a bright green light appeared in his hand. The staff was about 1 meter in size and contained a terrifying amount of wood energy. The only flaw was that there were no spirit pearls embedded in the head of the staff. Even so, the energy contained in the staff shocked everyone around. A level 13 spirit weapon, the weapon of the immortals. the energy of the immortals. Oh my God, it's. In an instant, everyone around stood up and stared at the staff in Wang Xian's hand with a face full of shock. Their bodies trembled slightly. A level 13 spiritual weapon, a wood attribute staff. However, the level 13 spirit pearl on it has been removed. However, this material alone is not inferior to a level 12 wood spirit pearl. Wang Xian said to Fairy Flower calmly. Phew! Fairy Flower took a deep breath. Her eyes were filled with excitement. A grade 13 spirit weapon. Even if the wood spirit pearl on it had been taken away, its value far exceeded that of a grade 12 wood spirit pearl. In fact, the two could not even be compared. This made Fairy Flower's breathing quicken slightly. Even though her master was an immortal, it was not easy for him to take out such a precious item. It was not just the Flower Fairy. All the disciples of the natural-born celestial sect had burning eyes. She raised her head and looked at Wang Xian. Her eyes were sparkling. Are you sure you want to exchange such a precious item for 7 drops of 100-flower liquid? Yes. Wang Xian nodded his head. Although this staff was precious, it was of no use to him. Furthermore, after losing the wood spirit pearl, this staff was only a pseudo, grade 13 spirit weapon that was inscribed with a formation. In the future, when he mastered the inscription formation of the spirit weapon, this staff would be easily refined. Compared to Shu Qing, it was not even worth a single hair on her head. Chapter 752. The power of a deity cannot be offended, 5/5. If that's the case, this young master, these 7 drops of 100-flower liquid belong to you. Flower Fairy took a deep breath and waved her arm. She took the 7 drops of 100-flower liquid in her hand and walked towards Wang Xian. This time, she didn't throw it over directly. Instead, she walked over directly. Taking out such a precious item was equivalent to giving it to her indirectly. She had to thank her somehow. The surrounding people were slightly stunned when they saw Flower Fairy walking over. However, they soon felt relieved. It was normal for Flower Fairy to deliver such a precious item to her personally. Bing Chuanyan held his arm tightly and stared at Wang Xian with fury in his eyes. Thank you, young master. Flower Fairy passed the 100 flowers liquid to Wang Xian and thanked him. No need. Wang Xian smiled as he looked at the 100 flowers liquid in her hand. He passed the staff to her. Do you have any more 100 flowers liquid? Or an item that has similar effects to the 100 flowers liquid? Wang Xian took it and asked the Flower Fairy. The Flower Fairy looked at Wang Xian and nodded slowly. To be honest, young master, we still have some 100 flowers liquid. I have a huge advantage in exchanging 7 drops of 100 flowers liquid for the staff. I'll give the rest of the 100 flowers liquid to you. Okay, thank you. Wang Xian nodded his head at her. Oh my God, Ice Soul Stone. It's an Ice Soul Stone. What a huge Ice Soul Stone. Oh my God. At this moment, a shocked voice came from the side. A young man dressed in white came to Wang Xian's side quickly. His gaze was fixed on the crystal box that Wang Xian placed on the stone table. His eyes were filled with disbelief and madness. Ice Soul Stone. Everyone was stunned, especially the disciples of the Ice God Celestial Sect. They immediately looked towards the direction where the young man was looking at. It's really an Ice Soul Stone. Cough, cough. Ice Soul Stone. What a big piece. It's the holy weapon for ice attribute cultivators. It's the best material to create an ice attribute spiritual weapon. Oh my God, oh my God. In an instant, the disciples of the Ice God Celestial Sect gasped when they saw the huge piece of Ice Soul Stone in front of Wang Xian. Ice Soul Stone was a grade 13 metal. This kind of metal emitted cold air. If they were to sit cross-legged and cultivate on it, it would be the best holy weapon for the disciples of the Ice God Celestial Sect who cultivated the ice attribute. In fact, the Ice Soul Stone could also be used to create immortal god weapons. to ice element cultivators. This was simply a supreme treasure, and this ice soul stone in front of them could create many spirit weapons and could also allow several disciples to cultivate. It was no wonder that the ice god immortal sect disciples were so crazy. Ice soul stone. Bing Chuan Yen's breathing was somewhat hurried as he stared at it with excited eyes. He didn't expect this young man to have such a big ice soul stone. If he had some ice soul stones, he could even break through to the level of a half-step immortal god. Wang Xian frowned slightly when he saw the ice god celestial sect's disciples staring at the crystal box with Shu Qing's body. Phew, ice soul stone. Brother, can you sell some of it? The young man who was the first to rush over stared at Wang Xian passionately. He couldn't help but approach Wang Xian and extend his arm. I'm not selling it. Take your hand back. Wang Xian looked at the young man coldly. However, the young man didn't seem to hear him. He continued to touch the ice soul stone. Boom! Just as his arm was about to touch the stone, Wang Xian waved his arm. A terrifying energy landed directly on the young man's body. Bang! The young man didn't have the slightest ability to resist. His body flew into the distance. Ah! At this moment, the young man finally woke up. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of fresh blood. His face was in extreme pain as he let out a terrified scream. Wang Xian didn't use much strength in this attack, but it was enough to turn the young man into a cripple. What? How dare you make a move? The surrounding disciples of the ice god celestial sect came back to their senses. When they saw their fellow disciples who were seriously injured, their expressions changed drastically. A middle-aged man immediately walked to the side of the young man and shouted at Wang Xian with an embarrassed expression. You don't know what's good for you. Wang Xian swept a cold glance at the young man. The expressions of the disciples of the ice god celestial sect were slightly embarrassed. Just now, Wang Xian had warned their fellow disciples that the young man didn't hear that he was severely injured. It was the young man's fault first. However, brother, my junior brother, only touched the ice soul stone with his hand. Isn't it too much for you to hit him so hard? Bing Chuan Yen's eyes sparkled when he saw that the disciple of the celestial sect was seriously injured. He stared at Wang Xian coldly. He is already lucky that he didn't kill him. Wang Xian glanced at them coldly. You are really arrogant. Don't be so arrogant just because you have some spiritual artifacts. Kid, I'm warning you. This is the area of our soup cauldron. Bing Chuan Yin stared at Wang Xian coldly. That's right. Our junior brother only touched you once, but he already hit you so hard. This is too much. You must give us an explanation today. A middle-aged man from the ice god celestial sect stood beside Bing Chuan Yin and said with a twinkle in his eyes. It was the disciples of the ice god celestial sect who crossed the boundary first. Fairy Centauria was stunned when she saw this scene. She took a glance at Wang Xian beside her and immediately said to Bing Chuan Yin, Junior sister Centauria, the disciples of the ice god celestial sect only wanted to touch him. It's not like they wanted to take him away. He attacked with such force. This is too much. Furthermore, who gave him the right to attack in our 100 Flowers celestial sect? He doesn't put our natural-born celestial sect in his eyes. As soon as she finished her sentence, the female disciple of the innate immortal sect beside Bing Chuan Yin pointed at Wang Xian and spoke on Bing Chuan Yin's behalf. Seeing her senior sister's criticism, the flower fairy's expression turned slightly awkward. Wang Xian's attack was too harsh. It was indeed difficult for her to protect him, especially since he was a member of the ice god immortal sect. She furrowed her brows tightly and said, Let me treat this junior brother's injuries with medication. This is not a matter of treatment. Kid, let me tell you, give me some ice soul stones to compensate for my junior brother's injuries. Otherwise, I don't care who you are or which immortal sect you are from. You will have to pay a heavy price in the area of our Tangding. Bing Chuanyin took a glance at the ice soul stone and stared at Wang Xian coldly. Wang Xian looked at them with a hint of coldness in his eyes. He opened the ice soul stone gently. He opened the bottle of 100 flowers liquid directly and let out the fragrance. Then he placed it around Shu Qing. Shu Qing, some people are disturbing you. Let me deal with them. Wang Xian mumbled and covered it again. Then he slowly carried it on his back. However, everyone who was standing around looked at the opened ice soul stone in shock. Inside, there was actually a beauty. Although it was just a glance, her face was definitely not inferior to Flower Fairy's. The level 13 spirit tool, Ice Soul Stone, the Ice Soul Stone that caused the disciples of the Ice God Immortal sect to go crazy, actually contained a beautiful girl. And he spent such a terrifying price to trade 10 drops of 100 flower liquid with Flower Fairy, not to pursue Flower Fairy, but for that girl. Moreover, that 100 flower liquid was actually used to directly put in the Ice Soul Stone. Such behavior was simply shocking. Chapter 753. The power of immortals and deities cannot be violated to 1/5. Everyone looked at Wang Xian in a daze, looking at the Ice Soul Stone beside him. At this moment, Flower Fairy's feelings were the most complicated. Her eyes were flickering as she looked at the Ice Soul Stone that was slowly closing. She looked at the girl who had disappeared from her sight, the girl who was lying inside the Ice Soul Stone. She could not help but feel a sense of jealousy in her heart. She originally thought that this unknown young man was here to pursue her, to gain her favor. He wanted to woo her by taking out some valuable items. But now, it seemed that everything the young man did was not to please her, nor was it to gain her favor. It was for that girl. As long as it was something you could use, no matter how great the price, I would get it for you. Even she was moved by such a man. What a pity! What a pity! A hint of sadness appeared in Flower Fairy's eyes. For the first time, she was actually envious of a girl. She missed him, Flower Fairy. He was the beauty who ranked third among the top beauties in the Jianghu. Arrogant, you want to deal with us. When Bing Chuanyin heard Wang Xian's words, a hint of coldness appeared in his eyes. He waved his arm and pointed an ice sword at Wang Xian. I would like to see how you will deal with us. If you don't give us an explanation for my junior brother's injuries today, then we will have to deal with you properly. Clang, clang, clang. In an instant, more than 10 disciples of the Ice God Celestial sect pulled out their spiritual swords. They swept a glance at the Ice Soul Stone, and a hint of passion flashed in their eyes. They stared at Wang Xian, and a hint of mockery flashed in their eyes. This was the territory of their Tangding and the Ice God Celestial sect. They were not afraid of anyone here, even if this young man came from a powerful celestial sect. So what? The Ice God Celestial sect was no weaker than the others. Everyone, this is our innate celestial sect, not your Ice God Celestial sect. Fairy Flower looked at Wang Xian and sighed. She looked at Bing Chuanyin and said with a cold expression, Guests are guests. At the very least, they are our guests. Flower Fairy took a glance at her senior sister beside Bing Chuanyin and added, That senior sister frowned slightly and didn't say anything. That's right. This young master is our guest. This is our natural-born celestial sect. That's right. Don't look down on our natural-born celestial sect. A few girls behind Flower Fairy said. The girls were all emotional, seeing a young man sacrifice so much for a girl who was in a deep sleep. They were also very touched. When Glacier Cloud saw Flower Fairy and a few natural-born immortal sect girls speak up for him, his expression was slightly embarrassed. Since this is your 100-flower immortal sect, we cannot make a move, but we have to take him away. That's fine. After all, our natural-born immortal sect and the Ice God Immortal sect have a very good relationship. Chuanyin, you guys can't do anything here. However, It's not our responsibility to take him out. The girl beside Chuan Yun immediately chimed in. Flower Fairy's expression slowly turned a little awkward. She pursed her lips and did not say anything. When the surrounding disciples of the true martial immortal sect saw this scene, they knew that this young man was doomed. Bring him out. Bing Chuanyin stared at Wang Xian, and the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. Leave him to us. The middle-aged man and a young man beside him walked over directly. They held weapons in their hands and stared at Wang Xian coldly. Be good. It's best if you give up resisting. Otherwise How can there be so many people who are courting death? Wang Xian looked at the two people who were walking towards him and swung his arm towards them. The movement of his hand wasn't fast. It was as though he was swatting a mosquito. There wasn't any energy in it, and everyone could see the trajectory of his attack. The middle-aged man and the young man had a look of disdain in their eyes. They raised their arms and were about to press down on Wang Xian's hands. However, at this moment, a green energy was suddenly released and attacked the two of them at their chests. The two of them were stunned and immediately raised the spirit swords in their hands. Not good. The two of them changed their expressions. Their bodies were struck by the powerful force and were sent to the flower bushes behind them. We were too careless. He actually dared to resist. He's courting death. The two of them changed their expressions slightly. Their bodies shook and they were prepared to attack Wang Xian. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, at this moment, the beautiful flowers below started to move. The beautiful flowers were like demons that devoured people. The thousands of flowers grew to a length of about 100 meters. Before the two of them could react, they were surrounded. Two miserable screams were heard. Then there was nothing else. The thousands of beautiful flowers returned to normal. Following that, the middle-aged man and the young man disappeared. There was no blood. There was only a kind of demonic beauty. Wang Xian didn't want to be too bloody, so he turned the two of them into soil. What? Damn it! How dare you kill a disciple of our ice god celestial sect? Kill him. At the sight of this scene, the disciples of the ice god celestial sect of Bingchuanyun were enraged. A bone-chilling chill spread from the surroundings. The three disciples of the ice god celestial sect waved their arms. One of the middle-aged men had a terrifying aura that made people tremble. Terrifying ice swords attacked Wang Xian one after another. Wang Xian stood there indifferently. He opened his mouth slightly, and the green dragon bead instantly attacked the three disciples of the ice god celestial sect. Bang, bang, bang. The ice swords in front of him directly collapsed and dissipated. The three of them were knocked down in the sea of flowers. At this moment, the sea of flowers once again turned into a terrifying sea of flower demons. The three ice god immortal sect disciples were instantly drowned. Senior Brother Binghai, how is this possible? The ice god immortal sect and everyone else were stunned. If the middle-aged youth who had just attacked had been killed due to carelessness, they could still accept it. However, of the three ice god immortal sect disciples that attacked next, the middle-aged man had the strength of the infant stage. Among the disciples of the ice god celestial sect, his potential and prestige were second only to Bingchuanyun. Yet he was still killed in an instant. This shocked everyone. His strength. Bingchuanyun's pupils could not help but shrink as he stared at Wang Xian with a serious expression. He should be a half-step immortal god. To be able to take out so many precious items, he must be extraordinary. He must be a half-step immortal god. That green bead, if I'm not wrong, should be a level 13 spiritual artifact, the artifact of the immortal. The expressions of everyone around changed slightly, especially the group of girls from the innate immortal sect. Wang Xian was using the wood attribute. He controlled the sea of flowers beside him to turn into a terrifying flower monster. They could sense a terrifying energy. Wang Xian's expression did not change. He took a step forward slowly. The green dragon bead slowly emitted a wave of pressure. The green light instantly covered the group of Ice God sect's disciples who were attacking. Among them was the girl from the innate immortal sect. What are you doing? Let me tell you, this is our innate immortal sect. If you make a move here, our immortal God will not let you off. When the girl saw the green light covering her, her expression changed drastically. Her eyes were filled with fear. Young master, please stop. Don't hurt senior sister. Flower Fairy also changed her expression slightly and said hurriedly, with the strength of a half-step immortal god and the artifact of an immortal god, it was a piece of cake to kill them all. You dare to make a move, huh? If you dare to make a move, our immortal god will kill you. Bing Chuanyan's expression changed drastically as he shouted loudly. Why wouldn't I dare to? Wang Xian said coldly. The green light shone brightly, causing everyone's expression to change drastically. Guji guji. At this moment, a strange sound was heard. Upon hearing this sound, the girl beside Bing Chuanyan looked as though she had seen her savior. Her face was filled with excitement and malevolence. Guji is here. Haha, our deity is here. You're done for. You are done for. Chapter 754. The power of the immortal God must not be violated. 3/2. Guji guji. A cry was heard. The excited and shrill voice of the senior sister from the natural-born immortal sect was heard at the same time. Everyone was slightly stunned and looked towards the entrance. A half-meter tall wooden tree demon was running towards them with excited eyes. It's Guji, the Flower Queen's pet. The Flower Queen is here. Everyone exclaimed when they saw the tree demon suddenly appear. This magical tree demon was the Flower Queen's pet and had been following behind the Flower Queen. If Guji appeared, the Flower Queen must be behind it too. The Flower Queen was an immortal-level powerhouse and the only female immortal in the entire world of the soup tripod. She was as strong as a woman and was full of dignity. Now that a young man wanted to kill a disciple of their natural-born immortal sect, the immortal could definitely kill him directly. After all, this was the natural-born immortal sect. If someone wanted to cause trouble, the immortal could directly take action. You're done for, you damn thing. You actually dared to kill a disciple of our ice god immortal sect. You're done for. Bing Chuanyan also stared at Wang Xian with a ferocious expression and shouted loudly, Guji, Guji! At this moment, his eyes lit up as he sensed the energy that excited him. His round eyes scanned his surroundings. However, when he saw Wang Xian, he let out an anxious cry. His face was filled with fear. He quickly bypassed Wang Xian and ran to the side of Flower Fairy. He reached out his hand and pulled her back. Flower Fairy looked at Guji with a look of astonishment. Pa pa pa. At this moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard. A valiant woman walked over with an aura of motherhood. Her eyes were sparkling as she stared at the green dragon bead in the sky. Lady Queen! Sect leader of the Queen! The ice god, celestial sect, and the girl shouted excitedly when they saw the woman walking over. The woman turned her head and swept her gaze across them. Her gaze landed on Wang Xian as her eyes sparkled. On the greenwood path, she rushed over when she saw Wang Xian walking towards the innate celestial sect. She didn't expect that this powerhouse, who was one level higher than her, would actually enter their celestial sect. Master! Flower Fairy picked up Guji and rushed to Flower Queen's side. What's going on? The Queen of Flowers asked with a twinkle in her eyes. Sect leader of the Queen of Flowers, it's him. He actually killed 5 disciples of the ice god celestial sect in our celestial sect. Now he wants to kill us. Sect leader of the Queen of Flowers, please make a decision for our sect and kill him. Lady Queen of Flowers, please make a decision for our disciples of the ice god celestial sect. Kill him or hand him over to our celestial sect," the girl and Bing Chuan Yun hurriedly shouted. After they were done, they stared at Wang Xian with cold eyes. Their eyes were filled with excitement. What was there to be afraid of the celestial sect? "Master, it's like this." Fairy Flower told the Lady Queen of Flowers what had happened. But it's like what she said. When the Lady Queen of Flowers heard Fairy Flower's words, she asked the girl who was shrouded in green light with an expressionless face. The girl was slightly stunned, then she immediately explained. Sect Master Flower Empress, a junior brother of the Ice God Immortal sect, only wanted to touch him, but he was instantly heavily injured by him. He attacked our immortal sect without any scruples. It's simply contempt for our immortal sect. Sect Master, he still wants to kill me now. Sect Master, please punish him. He killed 5 of our senior and junior brothers. Please punish him, Lady Flower Queen. The girl and the group of Ice God Celestial Sect's disciples said loudly, "The power of the immortals cannot be offended." Flower Queen said slowly, "Did you hear that, kid? To dare to make a move in the innate celestial sect is the greatest disrespect to the immortals. Go to hell. Sir, you can do whatever you want with them." Bing Chuan Yin stared at Wang Xian with excitement and growled in a low voice. However, before he could finish a sentence, he heard the Flower Queen's faint words. In an instant, his expression froze. Everyone was stunned. The disciples of the Ice God Immortal sect, who were surrounded by the green light, the disciples of the true Martial Immortal Academy, the Natural Born Immortal sect's disciples, and the Flower Fairy all looked at the Flower Queen in shock. This lord. The Flower Queen actually addressed this lord to that young man. Normally, the lord would only address an immortal level powerhouse, and the Flower Queen herself was an immortal level powerhouse, yet she was addressing that young man as lord. That meant his strength was even stronger than the Flower Queen. That young man was an immortal level powerhouse. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they looked at Wang Xian in shock. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and respect. However, the glacier cloud that was enveloped by the green light, as well as the female student and the rest, were completely stunned. Their bodies trembled slightly and their eyes were filled with disbelief. The might of an immortal god must not be offended. Wang Xian looked at the woman and revealed a faint smile. The might of an immortal god must not be offended. On that path, if he was not an immortal god, Wang Xian was sure that this woman would definitely teach him a lesson. This was the dignity of an immortal god. It was not something that others could offend. Even if it was a disciple of his immortal sect who provoked an immortal god, he would be courting death. No immortal sect would do such a thing to protect a disciple who deliberately provoked an immortal god. Buzz! Wang Xian waved his arm and the green dragon bead in the sky turned into rays of light. No. We were wrong. We didn't know that you are the immortal. The disciples of the Glacier Cloud sect saw Wang Xian waving his hand and showed despair on their faces. They quickly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. "Sect leader, save me!" The girl shouted with a miserable face. Flower Queen looked on expressionlessly. She was not an indecisive person since she had stepped into the immortal realm as a girl. A bunch of shrimps had provoked an immortal god. The price had to be borne by herself. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of shattering could be heard. "No, my cultivation, my Dantian!" Bing Chuanyin shouted with a face full of despair. He was an outstanding disciple of the Ice God Immortal sect, a proud heaven's favorite. Now he was actually crippled. "You guys send them back." The Flower Queen's face was expressionless when she saw the scene. She slowly said to the remaining disciples of the Ice God Immortal sect, who were standing there in a daze, "Yes, yes." They hurriedly responded and walked towards the disciples of the Immortal sect. Seeing them become crippled one by one, they rejoiced in their hearts. Fortunately, They weren't blinded by greed just now. However, who would have thought that the young man was actually an immortal god, and an immortal god that was even stronger than the Flower Queen? They deserved to die this time. They provoked an immortal god and even wanted to take him away. They are simply courting death. The crowd of Jinwu's Celestial Academy's disciples looked at Wang Xian with a complicated expression. Their eyes were filled with respect as they glanced at Wang Xian. This was the prestige of an immortal god. Even in the natural-born celestial sect and Tangding, if you deliberately provoked an immortal god, the immortal god would still be able to cripple and kill you without paying any price. The power of the immortal not to be offended. Chapter 755. Su Changshu, 3/5. Thank you, sir. I am one of the sect leaders of the natural-born celestial sect. May I know where you come from? What brings you to our natural-born celestial sect? The Queen of Flowers swept her gaze across the ice god celestial sect and the girl from her own sect and expressed her gratitude to Wang Xian. The girl was not crippled. She would be able to recover after a few months of recuperation. This showed that this immortal was doing this on purpose for his own sake. Secondly, he must have something to do at the innate immortal sect. I am from the Dragon Gate. Sorry to bother you. I do have something to do at the innate immortal sect. I'm here to ask for medicine. Wang Xian nodded to the Flower Queen and said truthfully. He did indeed have something to ask of her, so he didn't go too far. Oh, Dragon Gate? A hint of surprise flashed across the Flower Queen's eyes. He had never heard of Dragon Gate, and it wasn't one of the 20 immortal gates. Sir, please come in. No matter what, the other party was a middle-level immortal. She was worthy of taking him seriously. She invited Wang Xian in. All right. Wang Xian nodded and followed him into the inner area of the innate immortal gate. Behind him, everyone was staring at his back in shock. Their eyes were still filled with disbelief. The entire natural-born celestial sect was in a world of plants. There were all kinds of trees, vines, and flowers. Apart from the roads, the rest of the places were basically filled with plants. Here, wood element cultivators could improve greatly when they fought. The disciples of the natural-born celestial sect lived on the wooden houses on the trees. Houses were built on the huge trees, giving people a natural feeling. After passing through an area covered by rattan orchids, the Queen of Flowers brought Wang Xian to the central area. Behind them, Flower Fairy carried Guji and followed behind them. She sized up Wang Xian with a curious look on her face. Her mind was full of thoughts. She was thinking about how old Wang Xian was this year. What kind of force was Dragon Gate? She was filled with curiosity towards him and a series of questions. Sir, please take a seat. Flower Fairy, pour some tea. Flower Fairy said directly to Flower Fairy. Yes, master. Flower Fairy nodded and immediately poured a cup of tea for Wang Xian. I am the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. Wang Xian, sorry to disturb the sect leader of the Flower Queen. The other party greeted her politely. Wang Xian also cupped his hands at her. The main reason why I came to the innate immortal sect this time is to request for a type of spiritual herb. Wang Xian went straight to the point and said to the Flower Queen, Sir Wang Xian, what kind of spiritual herb are you looking for? If our innate immortal sect has it, we will definitely not be stingy. The Queen of Flowers asked Wang Xian, a spiritual herb that can strengthen one's soul. Wang Xian stared at the Queen of Flowers and said with some anticipation, strengthen one's soul. The Queen of Flowers was stunned for a moment and frowned slightly. Things that touch one's soul are very rare. The 100 Flowers liquid is an item that can help one recover one's soul. If you say it's a spiritual herb of a higher grade than the 100 Flowers liquid. As the Flower Queen spoke, she looked at Guji, who was at the side. We do have a spiritual herb here. It's called the wood spirit fruit. It's a grade 8 spiritual fruit. Really? Wang Xian's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. May I know how the Flower Queen can exchange it? The wood spirit fruit is a very special fruit. Sir Wang Xian, the ice soul stone contains your lover. Let me take a look at it for you. Our natural-born celestial sect is not inferior to the Holy Doctor celestial sect in terms of treatment. The Flower Queen said to Wang Xian as her gaze landed on the ice soul stone behind Wang Xian. All right. Wang Xian nodded and opened up all the ice soul stones. Fire attribute. What a terrifying flame! In an instant, the Flower Queen looked at Guan Shuqing, who was inside the ice soul stone, with a look of surprise. A green glow entered her body with a movement of her arm. The body is fine but full of vitality. The energy in the body is somewhat chaotic and out of control. There is only one kind of situation. The Flower Queen frowned slightly and spoke slowly. I suddenly received a terrifying power, but this power far exceeds the burden of the body, making it impossible for people to control it. It is to the extent that I cannot control my body, and I cannot even support myself to move. It's indeed because of my soul. I want to heal the spiritual herbs or elixirs that strengthen my soul. Wang Xian nodded his head slowly when he heard the Queen of Flowers' diagnosis. We don't have many with spirit fruits here. I'm not sure if it can wake up my lover. The Queen of Flowers said to Wang Xian, I want as much as you have. You can tell me what you want in exchange. Wang Xian said to the Flower Queen in pleasant surprise, Flower Queen, a distinguished guest from the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect is here. Come here for a moment. At this moment, a voice was suddenly heard. The Flower Queen, who was sitting at the side, was slightly surprised. Yes, Grand Elder. The Flower Queen immediately responded. She turned her head to look at Wang Xian and said, Sir Wang Xian, the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect are here. They are also very good at this aspect. It's a good opportunity for us to take a look. Flower Queen, do you have a good relationship with the Celestial Sect of Holy Medicine and the Celestial Sect of Holy Medicine? Wang Xian frowned slightly. Our relationship is quite normal. However, the Celestial Sect of Holy Medicine and the Celestial Sect of Holy Medicine want to cooperate with us, since we have the most spiritual herbs in the world. The Flower Queen said to Wang Xian. Looking at his expression, she hesitated for a moment before asking, Sir Wang Xian has a grudge with them? Some grudge, I guess. Wang Xian replied plainly. However, it's not a big problem. Sir Wang Xian, why don't we go over and take a look? Everyone who comes to our natural-born celestial sect is a guest. The wood spirit fruit is a little special. I need to inform the Great Elder and the rest. The Queen of Flowers stood up and spoke to Wang Xian. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head. He stood up and followed the Queen of Flowers towards the back. The Flower Fairy immediately followed behind him. As he walked behind, Wang Xian could feel a strong wood elemental energy. The energy was majestic and full of vitality. If an ordinary person stayed here, he could even increase his lifespan by a few decades. He looked at the source of the energy. His eyes were twinkling as he stared at a tree in front of him, the Vimla tree. Activating the plant intelligence. It's another special divine tree. Moreover, it's different from the endless wood soul-returning tree with only one branch. This Vimla tree is a complete tree. Wang Xian sized up the Vimla tree with a twinkle in his eyes. The tree was not very tall. It was only about 7 to 8 meters tall, and its branches were not very lush. And now, half of the tree was dark green, and the other half was withered, as if it was malnourished. It would not take long for the tree to completely wither, turning into a tree trunk like a soul-returning tree. Next to the tree, 8 people were sitting at a wooden table. All of them were middle-aged elders, and they had a dignified expression on their bodies. All of them were immortals, and all 8 of them were immortals. And at the side stood more than a dozen disciples. Chapter 756, Malicious Intent 4/5. Grand Elder. The Flower Queen glanced at the 4 middle-aged men and said to a white-bearded old man who was sitting in the middle, "Flower Queen, come here. The distinguished guests from the Holy Medicine Immortal sect are here. Come over and have a chat." The white-bearded old man said to the Flower Queen with a smile, "Yes, Grand Elder." The Queen of Flowers nodded with a smile. "Oh, it's him." At this moment, a middle-aged man among the dozen of people standing at the side looked at Wang Xian, who was beside the Queen of Flowers. A hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. He sized her up with his eyes that were flickering. Hee, this must be the Queen of Flowers. She is as strong as a man. It seems that she lives up to her reputation. Who is this? A green-robed elder looked at the Queen of Flowers and asked with a smile. Then his gaze landed on Wang Xian, who was shoulder to shoulder with the Queen of Flowers. A hint of doubt flashed across his eyes. "Sir, I know him. I know him." At this moment, before the Queen of Flowers could speak, the middle-aged man at the side pointed at Wang Xian with a cold gaze and said, "I have seen his image. He is the Dragon King who destroyed our lineage in the real world. Furthermore, there is a high possibility that my father and Elder Bien were killed by him." The middle-aged man stared at Wang Xian with fury in his eyes. He shouted with an agitated expression, "Dragon King? Dragon Gate?" The green-robed elder was stunned. He narrowed his eyes and sized up Wang Xian. Hua Ho frowned slightly and said immediately, "Grand Elder, this lord is a guest." "Lord?" The 8 middle-aged men and the elder were slightly shocked. A hint of solemnity flashed across the green-robed elder's face. "Sorry to disturb you. Everyone from the natural-born immortal sect, Dragon King of the Dragon Gate, is here to pay a visit." Wang Xian cupped his hands at the 4 middle-aged men from the natural-born immortal sect. When he retracted his hands, he slowly waved his arm behind him. "Ah!" The middle-aged man's expression changed drastically. He stared at his arm in horror. At this moment, his arm actually withered like a tree in an instant. "Shut up!" An elder beside him quickly said to the middle-aged man. "Huff! Huff!" The middle-aged man widened his eyes and panted heavily. He was filled with fear. The green-robed elder narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw Wang Xian crippled one of his disciples' arm. The 3 middle-aged elders beside him also looked at Wang Xian coldly. "Dragon King of the Dragon Gate, you must have killed the disciples of the Hua family and the Bien family, right?" The green-robed elder looked at Wang Xian and said plainly, "A bunch of people who are looking for death just defended me." Wang Xian said calmly and honestly, "The power of an immortal god could not be offended. As an immortal god, even if they signed an agreement forbidding the immortal god to attack, they were still an immortal god after all. Anyone who dared to provoke the immortal god could be killed by the immortal god. This was the right of a powerful immortal god. Hee, let's put aside our grudges for now. Come and have a taste of our natural-born immortal sex, wooden stem tea." The white-bearded old man looked at the scene and said calmly, "The Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal sect were very powerful. However, the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate was also a middle-level immortal. Furthermore, their strength was unknown. Naturally, their natural-born immortal sect would not offend anyone." Wang Xian cupped his fists at the white-bearded old man and sat at the side. The Flower Queen also sat beside Wang Xian. "Grand Elder, this Lord Wang Xian is here to ask for a few wood spirit fruits." The Flower Queen whispered to the white-bearded old man. "Yes." The white-bearded old man nodded his head. "Elder Mu, this time we are prepared to cooperate with the Holy Doctor Immortal sect in the aspect of spiritual herbs and elixirs. Your immortal sect has the most abundant spiritual herbs in the Jianghu, while our Holy Medicine Immortal sect has the best alchemy skills in the entire Jianghu. If the two of US cooperate and monopolize the entire Jianghu's elixir market, it will be a huge benefit for our immortal sect. The green-robed old man took a glance at Wang Xian and spoke to the white-bearded old man. Mutual benefits. We naturally agree to it. We will have to discuss the details in the future, the white-bearded old man said with a smile. Haha, of course. Mutual benefits. If we can monopolize the medicinal pills in the martial arts world, our influence can be imagined. The green-robed elder laughed loudly. Following that, he looked at the Xichang tree next to him. The divine tree of the esteemed immortal sect is still emitting a rich vitality. This time we have another matter. The tree demon that we have planted for 1,000 years has already taken shape. We hope that we can use the Xichang tree to awaken our spiritual wisdom. The tree demon has already taken shape. A hint of solemnity flashed in the white-bearded man's eyes. I didn't expect that you guys could actually nurture this kind of ancient, divine tree to take shape. It's truly commendable. So what? The yield tree of our immortal sect has already withered, but the service tree of your immortal sect is still full of vitality. The green-robed old man slowly shook his head. The vitality is only on the surface. The service tree doesn't have much life left. Sigh. The white-bearded old man slowly stood up and looked at the divine tree beside him, sighing slightly. This kind of divine tree won't be able to support its growth with the density of the spiritual energy here. Once it is consumed, it will wither. If we cultivate tree demons... The flower queen looked at Hattori Changshu and said with a frown, once it is used to cultivate tree demons, Hattori Changshu will completely wither. Our holy doctor immortal sect has 2 tree demons. If the natural-born immortal sect agrees, we will use them to pay the price of Hattori Changshu. The green-robed elder said with a smile. 2 tree demons. A bright light flashed in the white-bearded elder's eyes. The eyes of the 3 middle-aged elders on the side also lit up. Their faces revealed an expression of being moved. The soon-to-wither tree will be exchanged for a tree demon. Elder Mu, how about this transaction? The green-robed elder looked at their reactions and said indifferently, Sure. The white-bearded elder said without hesitation. Trading a soon-to-be-withered Changshu for a tree demon was a very worthwhile deal. It was even very profitable. Elder Mu, the tree demon is born with wisdom. It may need some more things. Elder Mu, please give it to us. The green-robed elder narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, What things? As long as we have them. We'll try our best to satisfy Elder Hua. The white-bearded elder said with a chuckle, Wood spirit fruit, we need some wood spirit fruits. The corner of the green-robed elder's mouth curled up slightly as he spoke to him. The white-bearded elder was slightly stunned. He frowned and looked at Wang Xian, who was beside him. This wood spirit fruit is very important to us. Elder Mu, please gift it to us. The green-robed elder said with a smile once again. He looked at Wang Xian indifferently with a smile on his face. When Wang Xian heard the green-robed elder's words, his expression turned slightly awkward. A hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. This Dragon King, I'm really sorry. Elder Hua and the rest want the wood spirit fruit. We can only give it to him. Please forgive us. The white-bearded elder naturally knew how to make a choice. The tree demon was a terrifying creature. Once it was bred with intelligence, it would possess a combat strength comparable to that of a god. A god was extremely important to the natural gate of immortality. It was worth it to exchange for a withering tree. Chapter 757, Tit for Tat 5/5. Wang Xian frowned when he heard the white-bearded old man's words. He was not surprised by the natural-born, celestial sex choice. He had nothing to do with them in the first place. Naturally, they would choose the side that was beneficial to him. Wang Xian stared coldly at the green-robed old man and the rest. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Haha, what's wrong, Dragon King? Are you blaming us? The green-robed elder laughed out loud when he saw Wang Xian's expression. He took a sip of tea with an indifferent expression and said, I want to take away what you want. You dare to kill the disciples of the Holy Medicine Sect and the Holy Doctor Sect. Today is just the beginning. As he spoke, he grinned and revealed a sinister expression. The white-bearded elder drank his tea and pretended not to see it. They couldn't say anything about this situation. The Queen of Flowers frowned and shook her head apologetically at Wang Xian. Wang Xian glanced at the green-robed old man coldly. He stood up and looked at Changshu. Changshu is able to activate the spiritual intelligence of plants. All plants within a few kilometers of Changshu will be affected by it. The reason why the trees of the natural-born celestial sect have become towering trees must have a lot to do with the evergreen tree. Furthermore, the reason why the spiritual herbs can grow quickly and safely is also due to the radiation from the evergreen tree. Wang Xian came to the side of the evergreen tree and said as he looked at the half-withered divine tree, That's right. The reason why the natural-born celestial sect is able to accumulate such a terrifying amount of spiritual herbs is mostly due to the evergreen tree. However, it has gradually withered and will die in 10 years at most. The white-bearded old man did not want to offend Wang Xian. He walked to his side and replied, I didn't expect this Dragon King to know so much. The green-robed old man smiled gently and raised his eyebrows as he chuckled. They stood up and looked at the divine tree as well. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. He extended his hand and placed it on the Vikhang tree slowly. Buzz! A feeling of wanting to absorb it came over. The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. With a thought, he slowly contacted the ancestral tree. A wave of vital and holy energy flowed from Wang Xian's chest along his arm and landed on the tree. Buzz! 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 At this moment, the tree suddenly started to move. It seemed to be very happy. This is... The white-bearded elder was slightly shocked. He stared at the tree with his eyes wide open. The 4 green-robed elders were shocked. They had a bad premonition. Walala! Suin Changshu's branches trembled gently as though he was expressing something. At this moment, the entire tree body suddenly emitted a faint green and green glow. The 2 glows flickered as the withered area slowly regained its vitality. In just a few minutes, the withered part of Suin Changshu's body had recovered by 1/3. Lord Wang Xian, you actually managed to bring Qi Changshu back to life. The Queen of Flowers was stunned as a hint of excitement flashed across her eyes. The eyes of the white-bearded old man and the other 3 were also filled with a fiery glow. Qi Changshu was the sect-opening divine tree of the innate celestial sect. It was self-evident how important it was to them. Now that it had withered, they had no way to do anything about it. Such a divine tree could not be restored with the wood attribute. However, this Dragon King was actually able to restore Changshu's vitality. To them, this was simply a miracle. Dragon King, can you restore Changshu's vitality? The white-bearded old man repeated the question after the flower in excitement. Yes. A hint of a smile appeared in Wang Xian's eyes. His gaze swept across the 4 immortals from the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect. However, I want all of your wood spirit fruits. The white-bearded old man's eyes sparkled as he turned to look at the green-robed old man. Elder Hua, I'm really sorry. Everyone knows the importance of serving Changshu. The green-robed old man and the 3 middle-aged old men beside him immediately turned solemn. Their faces were slightly embarrassed. This was not just serving Changshu, but also the tree demon. The reason why the tree demon was called a demon was because it did not have intelligence. It could attack enemies and friends without distinguishing between them. They could only control them if Changshu opened up his intelligence. Otherwise, he could only be a tree demon guarding a place and could not be controlled. The importance of tree demons was not lower than their cooperation with the natural-born immortal sect. However, they also knew that the natural-born immortal sect would not give up on Changshu. Right now, they would not agree even if they had to exchange 4 or 5 tree demons with him. The sect-opening divine tree was not only useful to spiritual herbs and plants, but also to the disciples cultivating in this area. If the serving Changshu was restored, the natural-born immortal sect would definitely not dare to consume too much of its energy and would not use it to activate the tree demon's spiritual wisdom. When Wang Xian heard the white-bearded old man's words, a smile appeared on his face. He returned to his seat and took a sip of tea. His gaze swept across the 4 green-robed old men. Today, I also want to cooperate with the natural-born celestial sect. Wang Xian looked at the white-bearded old man confidently and said with a smile, "Oh, may I know what Dragon King wants to cooperate with?" The white-bearded old man sat beside Wang Xian in a good mood and said with a smile. He became much closer to Wang Xian. "Elixirs." The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly as he looked at the 4 people from the Holy Medicine Celestial Sect and the Holy Doctor Celestial Sect. Your Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect are cooperating with the Natural-Born Immortal Sect. I would like to ask, what is the fixed pill success rate and how should we distribute it? Hee. When the green-robed old man saw that Wang Xian dared to interfere in the pill cooperation, his eyes revealed a cold and disdainful look. The success rate of a grade 5 pill is 50%, a grade 6 pill is 40%, and a grade 7 pill is 30%. Also, the natural-born celestial sect produces spiritual herbs. We produce alchemists, so we will split the success rate 50-50. Our sect is the best in the entire martial arts world in terms of alchemy skills. Why? Are you the only one who wants to interfere? The green-robed elder stared at Wang Xian coldly with a face full of confidence. I don't think so when it comes to alchemy skills. Wang Xian shook his head slowly. The success rate of a grade 5 elixir is 60%. The success rate of a grade 6 elixir is 50%. The success rate of a grade 7 elixir is 40%. And the success rate is 50-50%. As he spoke, he turned to look at the white-bearded old man. These are the conditions for my cooperation. Bam. Kid, are you trying to stir up trouble on purpose? After Wang Xian stated the conditions, the green-robed old man stared at Wang Xian coldly and growled in a low voice. What? These are the conditions for my cooperation with the natural-born celestial sect. If you are not satisfied, you can give me better conditions. Wang Xian stared at the old man and said coldly, Our holy medicine celestial sect is the best in the world in terms of alchemy skills. The conditions we offer are also the most reasonable. How can you cooperate with them? You are spouting nonsense. A middle-aged man beside the green-robed old man stared at him with a dark expression. Wisps of flames were dancing in his eyes. Haha, the best in the world. That's just your arrogance. A bunch of arrogant fellows. Wang Xian stood up abruptly and showed a strong confidence on his face. It's just alchemy. Do you want to compete? As he spoke, he extended his right hand and a wisp of water-blue flame was emitted. Dual attributes. Water alchemy. The green-robed old man and the other 3 were stunned and looked shocked. Chapter 758. As the enemy 1/5. Dual attributes were very rare among martial artists. Usually, no one would practice dual attributes. 2 different attributes in the body would bring great trouble to a martial artist. However, according to the 5 elements 8 trigrams, through the symbiosis, a martial artist could practice dual attributes or even more attributes. The practice of dual attributes required a combination, such as wood creating fire, fire creating earth, earth creating metal, metal creating water, and water creating wood. However, there was one point. The cultivation speed of dual attributes was twice or even more difficult than that of a single attribute. In Jianghu, there were basically no people who cultivated dual attributes. Even if there were, it was because of special reasons. Just like the water and fire attributes of Ajaya, water and fire were incompatible. She couldn't cultivate and had to suppress one of them. After Wang Xian became an immortal, he would help her completely eliminate the water attribute. There were many ways to cultivate multiple attributes, but no one would choose to cultivate. Not to mention that an immortal god had dual attributes. This meant that he had to pay at least double the time of others to reach the level of an immortal god. However, a dual attribute martial artist was much stronger in battle than a single attribute martial artist. The green-robed old man and the other three looked at the water-blue flames dancing in Wang Xian's hands. The flames were emitting a terrifying temperature, and their expressions turned slightly ugly. The water refining technique was similar to the fire refining technique. They could also refine weapons and pills. Looking at Wang Xian, who was full of confidence, the four celestials from the Holy Doctor sect and the Holy Medicine sect had ugly expressions. The white-bearded old man and the few celestials from the innate celestial sect were also looking at Wang Xian in shock. Chang Shu, who could cure them with a wave of his hand, had dual attributes and also knew the powerful water refining technique. As for the split of the pills he mentioned, everyone would believe him when they saw his confident expression. There was no need for him to lie. If he couldn't do it, he would offend the natural-born celestial sect. It seems like you're going to make an enemy out of the Holy Medicine celestial sect and the Holy Doctor celestial sect. The green-robed elder stared at Wang Xian coldly. He was no longer as calm as before. Since you have already said that today is just the beginning, let's begin. Wang Xian picked up the teacup on the table and stared at the four of them with a smile. The atmosphere instantly froze. The green-robed old man and the other two looked extremely gloomy. The matter of the tree demon was ruined by Wang Xian. Now, even the cooperation with the natural-born celestial sect was ruined. Every matter was very important to the two celestial sections. The tree demon could increase the combat strength of their celestial sect by one middle-level immortal, and the cooperation of medicinal pills could allow their celestial sect to monopolize the market of medicinal pills. Since that's the case, I hope that you can withstand the strength of our two celestial sects in the future. The green-robed elder's eyes revealed a strong killing intent as he said coldly, "Haha, all right." Wang Xian looked at them nonchalantly. "I'll accompany you to the end any time." Humph. The four people from the Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect stood up coldly. "Elder Mu will take our leave." "Hee. Elder Hua, we'll meet again in the future." Elder Hua smiled as he cupped his hands towards them. "Let's go." The four of them had grim expressions as they spoke to the dozen of disciples at the side. Then they left immediately. Looking at their figures, a hint of coldness flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. Today he could be considered to have formed a complete enmity with the Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself. You stopped me from obtaining the wood's spirit fruit, and even provoked me. Wang Xian felt a chill in his heart. Wang Xian was not the least bit worried about forming an enmity with the Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. His dragon sect had a total of more than 80 disciples. All of them were in the infant stage. As for the Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect, they had countless disciples under them. If they were to really fight, even if the other party had 2 immortal sects, they would suffer heavy losses. At most, Wang Xian could just transfer some more subordinates from the Dragon Palace. However, the best way was to increase his own strength a little. After a year of closed-door cultivation, his dragon chi had reached more than 600 million. If his dragon chi increased by another 100 to 200 million, his strength would be comparable to a superior immortal. If he could complete the first change of the divine dragon, then his strength would truly be invincible on earth. Dragon King, the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect and Holy Medicine Immortal Sect are very strong. You must be careful in the future. The white-bearded elder looked at Wang Xian and reminded him kindly, "Since you dare to offend them, you shouldn't be afraid of them." Wang Xian revealed a hint of confidence on his face. This confidence made the Celestials from the Natural-Born Immortal Sect look surprised. The Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect were united in strength. With the combined strength of the two immortal sects, they could be ranked in the top 3. It's good that you are mentally prepared, Dragon King. Regarding the matter of taking Changshu and the collaboration of the elixirs, are you prepared, Dragon King? The white-bearded elder looked at him expectantly. Take Changshu. I will be able to restore his vitality today. As for the pills, we can talk about it tomorrow. At that time, all of you can take a look at my alchemy skills. I should be staying at the soup cauldron for the next few days. Wang Xian spoke to them indifferently. There were a total of 5 immortals in the natural-born celestial sect. The white-bearded old man was a middle-level immortal with the strongest strength. His surname was Mu. They were very curious about Wang Xian's ability to regain his vitality after subduing Changshu. Therefore, Wang Xian gave them an excuse. When the few of them saw that he was unwilling to speak further, they were too embarrassed to get to the bottom of it. At the side, Fairy Centauria looked at Wang Xian, who was chatting happily with the celestial sect. She had a complicated expression on her face. She never expected that this young man would have such powerful strength. She looked at the crystal box on Wang Xian's back, and her eyes were filled with envy once again. Dragon King, you can stay here for the next few days. If you need anything, you can come and look for me. Or you can tell 100 Flowers that we will stay at the next location. After chatting with Elder Mu and the rest for more than an hour, Flower Queen brought Wang Xian to a courtyard at the side and said to Wang Xian, "Thank you." Wang Xian nodded his head and walked into the room. The house was built entirely out of wood and was filled with a natural smell. The smell was very pleasant, and it made one's mind clear. All the items were made of wood. Wang Xian looked at the wood spirit fruit in his hand and immediately walked into the room. Wow! Opening the Isol stone, Wang Xian looked at the comfort inside and said, "I hope it's useful." The wood spirit fruit was a type of green fruit. It had a human shape and emitted a unique smell. There were a total of 6 wood spirit fruits in the natural-born celestial sect. All of them were given to him. Wang Xian placed the fruit into Shu Qing's mouth slowly. With a move of his palm, the fruit turned into liquid and fell into his mouth. When the wood spirit fruit entered his stomach, Wang Xian used dragon energy to melt it. In one go, Wang Xian placed all 6 wood spirit fruits into Shu Qing's mouth. After taking a look at Shu Qing, Wang Xian placed her on the bed. He took out his phone and contacted Xiaoyu. Now that Xiaoyu's injuries had recovered, he was prepared to return to Jiang City in 2 days. Meanwhile, Wang Xian also got Emo Qinglong to start planning for the Divine Dragon Refinery. Chapter 759, Empress 2/5. The Divine Dragon Crafting Workshop was very important to Wang Xian and even to the entire Dragon Palace, especially after today's cooperation with the natural-born celestial sect. They set up a crafting workshop to sell elixirs and spiritual artifacts. At the same time, they would undertake the refinement of elixirs and spiritual artifacts. To Wang Xian, this was an important method to gather resources. It was far more profitable than opening a shop in Jiang City. The spiritual herbs of the natural celestial sect were the most abundant among all the celestial sections. In fact, their spiritual herbs were comparable to the sum of more than 10 celestial sections. Using these spiritual herbs to refine elixirs to attract customers, He would establish the largest shop in the martial arts world to sell and refine elixirs. In the future, almost 80% of the spiritual herbs and elixirs would be circulated from his shop. By then, he would not be in need of elixirs at all. Just medicinal pills alone could increase his cultivation level. Currently, the 8 cauldrons were already open to the public. It was completely possible to set up shop in the cities of the immortal sections. Wang Xian ordered Mo Qinglong to purchase the pill shops. He wanted to fill all the shops in the 8 cauldrons within a month. Naturally, the cities of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect could not be occupied. I still have a lot of metal materials that I obtained from the Yuding world. I can totally forge and sell them one by one. If the Divine Dragon Crafting Workshop can proceed smoothly, I will be able to advance to the strength of a superior immortal within 2 to 3 months at most. I can even complete the first transformation of the Divine Dragon transformation. Wang Xian sat in front of the bed and pondered. The only troublesome thing is that I have to forge all the spiritual weapons and elixirs myself. At this moment, a weak voice was heard. Wang Xian was stunned. Following that, an excited expression appeared on his face. He quickly raised his head and looked at the bed. Xiao Xian, Xiao Xian. Shu Qing, I'm here. Wang Xian revealed an excited expression. When he saw that her arms were trembling slightly and she was shouting unconsciously, he revealed an excited expression. Boom! At this moment, a terrifying flame was emitted from her body. The flame was extremely terrifying. Every strand of flame seemed to be formed from lava and was emitting a suffocating temperature. Wang Xian's expression changed slightly. With a wave of his arm, he suppressed it. However, Guan Shuqing's clothes were instantly burned, revealing her delicate body that was emitting a faint red glow. This flame can already threaten a middle-level immortal. Wang Xian's eyes revealed a hint of shock as he shouted softly, Shuqing, Shuqing! Okay. The wood spirit fruit seemed to be of great use to her. Guan Shuqing's eyelashes were trembling non-stop. Wang Xian held her hands nervously, waiting for her to wake up. Xiao Xian. A few minutes later, Guan Shuqing slowly woke up. A terrifying flame flashed across her eyes. Shuqing, you're finally awake. Seeing that Guan Shuqing had woken up, Wang Xian heaved a sigh of relief. How are you feeling now? Are you feeling unwell? Have I slept for a long time? Guan Shuqing looked at Wang Xian. Her eyes were filled with confusion as she muttered to herself. You've been asleep for more than a year. Do you feel unwell? Wang Xian asked immediately. The wood spirit fruit was a grade 8 spiritual herb. With 6 wood spirit fruits, it would be of great use even if an immortal were to consume them. No, I feel that my body is filled with strength. Guan Shuqing shook her head and extended her arms lovingly. Xiao Xian, give me a hug. When Wang Xian saw that Guan Shuqing had completely recovered, a happy expression appeared on his face. He looked at her body and smiled perversely. Guan Shuqing seemed to have sensed something. She looked at her body, rolled her eyes at him, and put her arms down. Shuqing, come and hug me. Wang Xian quickly stretched out his arms and hugged her immediately. His heart was filled with excitement. You're so annoying. Guan Shuqing rolled her eyes at him and didn't reject him. Her strong love turned into soft water. The awakening of Shuqing made him excited. He jumped onto the bed and threw his clothes away with a wave of his arm. What followed was naturally a great battle. Guan Shuqing closed her eyes and cooperated with him with a smile on her face. However, half an hour later, the excited Guan Shuqing's eyes moved. At the center of her brows, there was a faint image of a vermilion bird, flickering with light. Feng Wan was the empress of the extraordinary continent's Feng dynasty and also the number 1 empress of the extraordinary continent. The Feng family of the Phoenix dynasty had a trace of the vermilion bird's bloodline, and their powerful fire control ability allowed their ancestors to create the powerful Phoenix dynasty. In the 2,120 years of the Phoenix dynasty, the dynasty was plagued by internal and external problems, and it was on the verge of collapse. This year, Feng Yuan was born. The Feng Yuan that was born was not in human form, but in the form of a vermilion bird. Feng Yuan was known as the vermilion bird reincarnation. She possessed terrifying cultivation talent. 15 years later, the Feng dynasty was plagued with internal problems. The Fan kings revolted, and 1,000,000 super experts attempted to invade the palace. That year, Feng Yuan was 15 years old. At the age of 15, she swept through 1,000,000 experts with the appearance of an expert. Feng Yuan appeared out of nowhere and killed all the people in the Feng dynasty who were uneasy. She stabilized the rule of the Feng dynasty. This year, the 15-year-old Feng Yuan became the emperor and became the first empress of the Feng dynasty. All the officials submitted to her, and all the people worshipped her. At the age of 18, Feng Yuan led her troops and swept across a radius of 10,000 li. Many dynasties submitted to her. The #1 empress of the continent was born. Her strength was monstrous, and her majesty was overwhelming. At the age of 35, Feng Yuan's cultivation technique had reached the peak, and she needed to undergo nirvana. During the period of the Phoenix's nirvana, they were at their weakest. However, during this period of time, they were betrayed by their clan. Feng Yuan risked her life to escape with a drop of her blood essence. In the end, she fainted and her soul fell into a deep sleep. With her injuries from before, it would require an extremely terrifying amount of energy to wake up. However, some time ago, her soul woke up and found that she was occupying a body. Her powerful physical body and her weak soul simply couldn't support it. According to her estimation, she would need more than 10 years to repair herself to be able to support this body. However, today, she suddenly felt a rich soul nourishment enter her body, greatly shortening the time for her to wake up. However, at this time, he discovered that there was another soul in this body, which made her heart sink slightly. The soul was already abnormally mysterious. If it was her in the past, she could have directly occupied this body with powerful soul power. But now her soul was on par with the other soul, and they might even be together. This made her face slightly embarrassed. Secondly, because of the weakness of her soul, there were uncertain factors when two souls controlled the body. It was possible that the body would be controlled by the other body, or it was possible that the body would be controlled by her. When she sensed that the other soul had gone out and that something had happened with a man on the bed, her soul immediately trembled. Fortunately, she only watched from the perspective of a bystander and did not feel anything. In the future, when her cultivation level increased, she could just find another body. However, just as she was shielding her soul, that uncertain factor appeared. Chapter 760, Below Empress 3/5. A vermilion bird pattern flickered between Guan Shuqing's brows. Feng Yuan took over the body. In an instant, the dignified empress of the transcendent world was stunned. She had been cultivating since birth, becoming empress at the age of 15 and empress at the age of 30. She had been imposing all her life. There was not a single man in the entire continent who was worthy of her. Moreover, Feng Yuan, who had a cold personality, a noble body, and a suffocating majesty, had no romantic feelings at all. In the entire continent, there weren't many men who dared to look her in the eye. The majesty of the empress made all the men feel ashamed in front of her. But now she was actually lying under a man, and it was a man who was as weak as an ant in his eyes. This caused a hint of coldness and killing intent to flash across Feng Yuan's eyes. The pressure of the empress slowly gathered. "Pa, baby, come up, hee." However, at this moment, a frivolous voice was heard. Following that, the man moved violently. In an instant, the empress's dignity was drowned out. Her face was extremely red. However, this feeling made her. For a moment, Feng Wan's expression changed drastically. Wang Xian didn't know that Shu Qing, who was under him, had already been occupied by another soul. He was prepared to release the pain of missing her for more than a year. 5 minutes later, Feng Wan's thoughts were drowned out. She closed her eyes tightly. 1 hour, 2 hours. Finally, the two of them laid on the bed. Wang Xian was in a very happy mood. Shu Qing, you have no idea. I have missed you so much over the past year. Today, you are finally awake. Wang Xian stretched out his hand and hugged Guan Shu Qing. Suddenly, he frowned slightly. The Guan Shu Qing in front of him suddenly gave her a very unfamiliar feeling. The flames flickering between her brows gave her a special kind of dignity. Looking at her eyes, Wang Xian was shocked. His expression changed drastically. You are not Shu Qing. Feng Wan's expression changed when she heard Wang Xian's words. She had no idea how to talk to the man in front of her. She frowned. Who exactly are you? Wang Xian's expression was extremely awkward. He stared at her and asked, I am that drop of vermilion bird essence blood. Feng Wan's expression darkened. Where is Shu Qing? What did you do to her? Wang Xian's expression changed drastically. He revealed a cold expression. Xiao Xian, Xiao Xian. Suddenly, the flame between her eyebrows disappeared slowly and Guan Shu Qing's panicked voice was heard. Wang Xian was stunned and he was a little stunned. Looking at her eyes, he knew that it was Guan Shu Qing this time. Shu Qing, are you all right? He asked hurriedly. Xiao Xian, there seems to be another person in my body. Just now, when we were together, I suddenly returned to my body and another soul took over my body. Guan Shu Qing said to Wang Xian in panic. When Wang Xian heard her words, his scalp went numb. Shu Qing, can you contact her? Wang Xian said with an embarrassed expression. Anyone who had an additional soul in their body would be horrified. She is the soul from the vermilion bird essence blood that you absorbed back then. See if you can contact her. Wang Xian said to Guan Shu Qing with a solemn face. Contact. Guan Shu Qing took a deep breath when she heard Wang Xian's words. She closed her eyes and tried to contact her. Wang Xian felt a little uncomfortable when he saw Guan Shu Qing's eyebrows trembling nonstop. There was actually a wisp of soul in the vermilion bird's blood essence. This was something that he didn't expect. Phew! After a few minutes, Guan Shu Qing suddenly heaved a sigh of relief and opened her eyes. How is it? I've contacted Xiao Xian. She said that her name is Feng Wan, the Empress of the Phoenix Dynasty in the Transcendence continent. During the Nirvana, she was attacked and injured. A drop of her essence, blood escaped and was absorbed by me. After that, she became like this. She also said that she would be able to reconstruct her physical body when she becomes stronger in the future. As Guan Shu Qing spoke, her expression kept changing. Then, Wang Xian's expression changed. He took a deep breath and asked, Who is in control of your physical body now? I'm not sure. Sometimes it might be me and sometimes it might be her. But now we can sense what is happening outside. Guan Shu Qing said with a bad expression. Is she sure that she can reconstruct her physical body just because she's strong? Wang Xian frowned and asked. She said that she can. As long as she has a drop of blood essence and sufficient energy, she can be reborn. Guan Shu Qing nodded. Damn it. Luckily, she's a woman. If she's a man, I have to think of a way to kill her. Wang Xian's expression softened a little. As long as she was a woman and didn't endanger Guan Shu Qing's life, it would be easy to solve the problem. If it was a man, then Wang Xian was really fucked up. In a situation like the one just now, he suddenly changed his soul. If it was a man, that would be so satisfying. Guan Shu Qing's expression was also a little strange. She naturally knew what happened just now. Sigh, I didn't expect there to be such a problem. Shuqing, don't worry. I will solve it for you as soon as possible. Wang Xian shook his head and sighed. HMM, Xiao Xian, I feel that I'm very strong now. Guan, Shuqing nodded. Although she had an additional soul in her body, it wasn't harmful at all. She heaved a sigh of relief. Go to sleep. Rest well. Wang Xian kissed Guan Shuqing and held her in his arms. Guan Shuqing also hugged her slowly. Get lost. However, at this moment, a cold and dignified voice was heard. Wang Xian instantly felt a strong force pushing towards him. Fuck! Wang Xian couldn't help but curse. He stared at Guan Shuqing with an embarrassed expression. At this moment, a flame appeared between Guan Shuqing's eyebrows again. The aura on her body had completely changed. Her eyes were filled with dignity as she stared at Wang Xian without any emotion. This is my wife's body. Wang Xian's expression was awkward. Get out. Feng Wan waved her arm and a flame appeared. She grabbed Wang Xian's arm and threw him out of the bed. Wang Xian's expression changed instantly. His body was thrown out without any resistance. Upper-level immortal. Wang Xian's face was extremely embarrassed. The strength that Shuqing had displayed just now was at most a middle-level immortal. However, this woman was able to unleash the strength of an upper-level immortal. Flame Gate. Feng Wan waved her arm, and the surroundings of the bed were instantly surrounded by flames, forming a curtain-like object. Fuck! When Wang Xian saw this scene, his face instantly turned black. Feng Wan, who was lying on the bed, was breathing rapidly. She slowly closed her eyes. Wang Xian stood outside without any clothes. He looked at her helplessly and realized that he was no match for her. Shaking his head, he waved his arm and a wooden bed appeared. He laid on it helplessly. Xiao Xian. However, a familiar voice suddenly came from the bed in the middle of the night. Wang Xian immediately got up, got into bed, and hugged Guan Shuqing. Upon seeing this scene, Guan Shuqing couldn't help but smile. Chapter 761. Mighty Empress for Fifths. In one night, Wang Xian was thrown out twice. This made him extremely embarrassed. Fortunately, it was Shuqing who took over his body in the morning. She walked out of the room with Wang Xian happily. This place is so beautiful. When they arrived at the courtyard, Guan Shuqing looked around happily and exclaimed in surprise, "This is the natural gate of immortality. During the year that you slept, the 9 Cauldrons world has already appeared. The area that we are in is the Tang Cauldron," Wang Xian explained to Guan Shuqing. "Celestial sect? It's really like a fairyland." Guan Shuqing raised her head and looked at her surroundings. There were all kinds of plants around her, and she looked very beautiful. "Dragon King, your breakfast." At this moment, Fairy Flower's voice came from outside the door. Come in." Wang Xian replied to her. Fairy Flower was holding some spirit fruits and vegetables that contained spiritual energy in her hands as she walked into the courtyard. He was stunned when he saw Guan Shuqing. She was dressed in fiery red clothes, had an exquisite face, and had a smile on her face. She was a beauty that was not inferior to him. In fact, Flower Fairy felt that her temperament was far superior to his. "It's here." Flower Fairy placed her breakfast on the stone table at the side. She glanced at Wang Xian and Guan Shuqing and said, "Dragon King, our sect leader will bring you to the herb garden to have a look and discuss the matter of cooperation." "Okay." Wang Xian nodded. "I'll be there soon." "All right." Fairy Flower took her leave, and Wang Xian and Shuqing ate breakfast together. During the meal, Wang Xian briefly told Shuqing about the current world. This made her open her mouth slightly, and a surprised expression appeared on her face. After breakfast, Wang Xian went straight to the place where the Queen of Flowers was staying. "Dragon King, my wife has woken up. It seems that the wood spirit fruit is quite useful." The Flower Queen looked at Guan Shuqing and said in surprise, "Yes, thank you." "No need. Dragon King, you have cured us of Changshu. To our immortal sect, a few grade 8 spirit fruits can't compare to you." The Flower Queen shook her head. "Let's go, Dragon King. I'll bring you to the herb garden to take a look." "All right." Wang Xian nodded his head and followed the Flower Queen into the herb garden. When he arrived at the herb garden of the natural-born celestial sect, he was slightly stunned. This was the largest herb garden he had ever seen. In the entire herb garden, there were at least tens of thousands of different types of spiritual herbs. Apart from spiritual herbs, there were also spiritual trees. It was not an exaggeration to say that the value of these herb gardens was simply immeasurable. As expected of the natural celestial sect that has the most spiritual herbs among all the celestial sections, it is no wonder that the 4 celestial immortals from the Holy Doctor Celestial Sect and Holy Medicine Celestial Sect came here personally. Wang Xian looked at this herb garden with a slight sigh. If the entire herb garden belonged to him and was refined into a medicinal pill, he might be able to complete the first change in the divine dragon realm directly. For a moment, he even had the urge to rob. "Haha, Dragon King, this is just our ordinary herb garden. The place where the grade 7 and grade 8 spiritual herbs are planted is in a different location." The supreme elder of the innate immortal sect, Elder Mu, said with a face full of pride. This was the accumulation of their sect for 1,000 years. "Looks like I will need a branch that can serve the evergreen tree before I leave." Wang Xian thought to himself. He walked to the side and swept his gaze across the spiritual herbs. "Elder Mu, how many spiritual herbs do you plan to take out?" 2/3. "We need to keep some for emergencies. The rest will be used to refine pills." Elder Mu looked at Wang Xian. "Even if it's 2/3, it's still a considerable amount. How long will it take for the Dragon King to refine it?" "Very soon." The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. He waved his arm and 25 grade, 5 spiritual herbs flew into his hand instantly. He smiled at Elder Mu and the rest. Wang Xian spread out his hands, and a water curtain appeared in front of him. Following that, the spiritual herbs melted rapidly. He stared at the drops of liquid with his sharp eyes and quickly assembled and condensed them. "Condense!" With a wave of his arm, 5 grade 5 medicinal pills appeared in front of him instantly. The entire process took less than 2 minutes. Elder Mu, Hua Ho Ho, and the other 3 celestials by the side opened their mouths slightly. Shock was written all over their faces. "Amazing, amazing! It will take at least 20 minutes for the old man peony from the True Martial Immortal Academy to refine a level 5 medicinal pill. Furthermore, it might not even be 100% success rate. Even with the help of the alchemy furnace from the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, they don't have such a fast speed and success rate." Elder Mu looked at Wang Xian and said with a sigh, "Although the innate immortal sect had more spiritual herbs, they couldn't refine medicinal pills. Even if they were to find someone else to refine them, they wouldn't be as insane as Wang Xian." The few immortals from the natural-born immortal sect looked at each other and decided that they would befriend this Dragon King in the future. Humph. At this moment, a soft snort came from the side. A slender and fair palm waved forward, and spiritual herbs flew over. The spiritual herbs that flew over turned into liquid under the encirclement of the flames. The pair of slender and fair arms rippled slightly. The spiritual liquid condensed into medicinal pills and fell into the palm. Elder Mu was stunned. The Queen of Flowers was stunned. The other 3 celestials were also stunned. Even Wang Xian was staring at the medicinal pills in his hand, with his mouth agape. Grade 6 medicinal pills, 5 grade 6 medicinal pills. From the moment he took them out to the moment they fell into his hand, the entire process had turned into medicinal pills. Just now, Wang Xian was still acting pretentious as he refined a grade 5 medicinal pill in less than 2 minutes with his water refining technique. Now, Guan Shuqing, no, she should be a woman named Feng Wan. She refined a grade 6 medicinal pill in less than half a minute. It was obvious who was superior and who was inferior. It was as though she had completely defeated Wang Xian. This caused his expression to turn slightly ugly. He knew that this woman was deliberately provoking him. Your wife's alchemy skills are so strong. She can actually refine pills so quickly without using an alchemy furnace. Elder Mu looked at the pill in Guan Shuqing's hand with a face full of shock, feeling somewhat incredulous. In addition to her terrifying alchemy skills, Elder Mu felt a powerful flame energy from the moment she made her move. This energy made him feel apprehensive. A middle-level immortal was at least a middle-level immortal, and it was possible that he was a superior-level immortal. This made Elder Mu slightly shocked. No wonder he was not afraid of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the Holy Doctor Immortal Sect at all. Just their strength alone was enough for him to not be afraid of them. It's fine, it's fine. Wang Xian looked at the flame flickering between his brows and the majestic Feng Wan. He smiled awkwardly. Dragon King, we have complete confidence in your strength. I believe that our cooperation will definitely be able to monopolize the entire elixir market. Elder Mu said to Wang Xian with a smile. Don't worry. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked at the majestic Feng Wan beside him. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He was just thinking that it would be troublesome if he were to refine so many elixirs on his own. Now it seemed that there were labors. Chapter 762, Mysterious Sea, 5/5. Your alchemy skills are amazing. Walking out of the herb garden, Wang Xian looked at Feng Wan, who was emitting a flame from her glabella, and said softly, To U.S. vermilion birds, alchemy is a piece of cake. Feng Wan said to Wang Xian, coldly and arrogantly. Wang Xian possessed the water of origin and the fire of origin. In the world, the vermilion bird was the king of flames. Even if it was a fire-attributed divine dragon, its control of flames was slightly inferior to that of the vermilion bird. Therefore, even without an alchemy furnace, Feng Wan was able to refine level 6 pills at a terrifying speed. Of course, this was also largely due to her expertise in alchemy. Well, since you can refine pills so quickly, can you help me refine pills? Consider it as a reward for occupying my wife's body. The reason why you are able to wake up now is mainly because of us. Without us, you would still be a drop of blood essence. Help me refine some pills as a form of repayment to us. Wang Xian said to Feng Wan shamelessly. This caused Feng Wan to frown slightly, just as Wang Xian said if it weren't for them, she wouldn't know when she would be able to revive. As a prideful empress, she didn't like to owe others favors. Sure, I'll treat it as a repayment. After hesitating for a while, she nodded her head slowly. All right. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and revealed a faint smile on his face. With such a perverted alchemy master, it won't be long before all the spiritual herbs from the natural-born celestial sect can be refined into pills. Wang Xian thought to himself. With a thought, he suddenly asked, Do you know how to refine weapons? Yes. Feng Wan nodded her head expressionlessly. Can I refine a level 13 spiritual weapon, one that is engraved with an array formation? Wang Xian asked with anticipation. I can even refine a weapon at the return to void level, let alone an extraordinary weapon. Feng Wan looked at Wang Xian proudly. However, she felt that she had gone too far. With my current strength, I can only forge some simple weapons that can inscribe arrays. Return to void stage? Extraordinary? Wang Xian silently memorized the realm that Feng Wan mentioned. This reminded him of the star attraction disc. The star attraction disc was also an item of the extraordinary stage. This transcendence should be a realm above his current level. It was also the realm that he attained after completing the first transformation of the divine dragon transformation. As for the return to void, it might be the realm after transcendence. Can you tell me about the method to inscribe the array formation? Wang Xian rubbed his hands and said to Feng Yuan, inscribing the array formation and refining a level 13 spirit weapon was what Wang Xian had been looking forward to all this while. However, he couldn't find any secret manuals to inscribe an array. Simple. She nodded her head coldly and didn't say anything else. Wang Xian looked at her helplessly. This empress of the so-called extraordinary continent had a very cold and arrogant character. She didn't even want to bother with him. She was as cold as ice. This was a Tsundra empress. After returning to the courtyard, Wang Xian stayed there for the next few days. Wang Xian stayed in the natural-born, celestial sect to refine elixirs every day. When Feng Yuan took over his body, he also helped to refine elixirs. The speed of the two of them was extremely fast. In just 3 to 4 days, they had already refined half of the spiritual herbs in the natural-born celestial sect. With the communication between Guan, Shuqing, and Feng Yuan, Wang Xian finally succeeded in inscribing the array formation. According to Feng Yuan, the array formation on a weapon could not be called an array formation. Instead, it was called an inscription formation. It was similar to an array formation, but it was completely different. It was not difficult for Wang Xian to forge weapons. Even if it was to inscribe runes, with the help of the system, it was still very fast. Regarding the shop of the crafting workshop, Mo Qinglong had already purchased it in the cities under the 20 gates of immortality. It would not be long before it could officially open for business. Before Wang Xian opened for business, he was preparing to conduct a huge publicity. He was preparing to hold an auction on the floating island. There would be a few grade 13 spirit weapons and some grade 7 or even grade 8 elixirs being auctioned there. He believed that the immortals and gods would also be attracted here. At that time, the divine dragon refining workshop would also become famous. It would also be a good choice to be a merchant quietly in the future. Eldest senior brother and the others are preparing to go to the mysterious sea tomorrow. Are you going or not? Yes, of course I'm going. The mysterious sea is connected to the underground sea, and there are countless powerful undersea creatures living there. Hunting powerful undersea creatures can be sold for a lot of spirit stones. Spirit stones are secondary. If we are lucky enough to encounter the earth star fish, we will be rich. On the 5th day, Wang Xian took the time to take a break to stroll around the natural-born celestial sect with Guan Shuqing. They heard the conversation of the natural-born celestial sect disciples. Oh, right. Xiao Xian, do you want to go to the mysterious sea to take a look? I heard there are many treasures there. Guan Shuqing heard the discussion at the side and said to Wang Xian, the mysterious sea? What is that place? Wang Xian asked curiously. You don't even know about it. I've been sleeping for so long and you still don't know about it? Guan Shuqing rolled her eyes at him. The mysterious sea is an inland lake in the area of Jiding. However, it has an area of 100 kilometers. Hence, it is also known as the sea. It is said that this inland sea is connected to the underground sea. The depth of the water is extremely deep and there are many creatures and treasures in it. There are many things about the mysterious sea on the Jianghu website these few days. There is a type of terrestrial starfish that can increase one's lifespan after eating. It is very expensive. Is that so? Terrestrial starfish can increase one's lifespan. This is a fatal temptation for anyone. Wang Xian was slightly stunned. He really did not know about the mysterious sea. He had been refining pills and weapons for the past few days and did not pay attention to the things on the Jianghu website. An earth star fish that could increase one's lifespan was comparable to a miracle drug to humans. However, it did not have much of an attraction to Wang Xian. As long as he did not die, his lifespan was almost endless. Connect to the underground sea. However, Wang Xian was filled with curiosity about the underground sea. According to current scientific research, there was an underground sea on Earth. Moreover, the seawater was comparable to the surface. This was also unexpected. There was a huge space on Earth. This space might not be as large as the surface of the sea, but it was definitely comparable to the surface. It was unknown if there were any living things in the underground sea. However, water was the source of life. The possibility of having living things was very high. Wang Xian took out his phone and looked at Ji Ding's area. It's near Tang Yinshuan's house. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and hesitated for a moment. A powerful aquatic creature that could increase one's lifespan was indeed attractive to him. This type of fish that could increase one's lifespan might not be useful to him, but if he could catch it, he could sell it at a high price. Why don't we go over and take a look? Wang Xian looked at Guan Shuqing and asked hesitantly, Sure, I want to take a look at what's happening outside as well. Guan Shuqing nodded her head with interest. All right, the concoction of the elixir is almost done. Let's go over and take a look. Chapter 763. S. Powerful sound waves attracted the fish 1/5. Elder Mu, Hua Ho, will take our leave first. After asking for a section of the uniformed Changshu from the natural-born celestial sect, Wang Xian said goodbye to Elder Mu and the rest. Dragon King, are you ready to go back? If the shop opens, we'll go and support it. Elder Mu said with a smile. I'm preparing to go to the mysterious sea. When the shop officially opens, I'll definitely invite all of you. Wang Xian smiled and nodded at them. There were some problems with the shop. This morning, Mo Qinglong called to report to him. After his investigation, it was best for the shop not to be built in a city below the Gate of Immortality, but in a real city. This was because the city below the Gate of Immortality belonged to the territory of the Gate of Immortality. There were two advantages to it. One was that there was a 100% guarantee of safety, and there was more traffic. However, there was also a drawback. If there was a conflict with the Gate of Immortality, the shop would be eliminated without any ability to resist. Therefore, the question now was whether to place the shop in the city under the Gate of Immortality or in the real world. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment and agreed with Mo Qinglong's decision. The city under the Gate of Immortality would be destroyed if anything happened. Even the elixirs might be taken away by the Gate of Immortality. However, if it was in the real world, whoever dared to cause trouble would be screwed. The mysterious sea? Some of our senior and junior brothers and sisters from the Celestial Sect are planning to go there today. When Flower Fairy heard that Wang Xian was going to the mysterious sea, her eyes lit up slightly. Oh, is that so? If it's on the way, let's go together. Wang Xian said with a smile on his face. All right. Flower Fairy nodded happily. You're not being honest. I heard that there's a Tang Yinshuan now. Why? Is there another Flower Fairy now? Now that the 8 cauldrons have appeared in the world and there's an ultimate beauty chart, are you going to cover all the ultimate beauty charts? At this moment, Shu Qing's voice rang beside his ear. Following that, Wang Xian felt the muscles on his waist trembling. Ahem, how can that be? I definitely don't have any intentions. Wang Xian shook his head bitterly. He was indeed not interested in the other beauties at the moment. He was already satisfied with Shu Qing, Lan Qingyue, and the other girls. If I believe in you, even a sow can climb a tree. Guan Shu Qing rolled her eyes at him. Heaven and earth can witness it. Let's go. Wang Xian said helplessly as he turned around and spoke to Flower Fairy. Yes, yes. Flower Fairy nodded immediately and immediately informed her fellow disciples. Dragon King. Dragon King. A group of natural-born Celestial Sect disciples greeted Wang Xian respectfully when they saw him. Among them was the eldest senior brother of natural-born celestial sect, who was also the strongest disciple. He was in his 40s and possessed the strength of the infant stage. The rest of the disciples were at least in the Dan stage. There were more than 30 of them in total. They were filled with respect for the Dragon King in front of them. In the past, they did not know about the Dragon King of the Dragon sect and had never heard of him. In the past few days, the natural-born celestial sect had also carried out a mission for Wang Xian. This investigation naturally cleared up all of Wang Xian's past and experiences. A middle-level immortal in his 20s. This made many people feel incredulous. In addition to his means and strength in the martial arts world, they were filled with awe towards this king who had emerged from the martial arts world. Why are there so many people? Wang Xian swept his gaze across them and asked with slight curiosity. Reporting to Dragon King, it's mainly for the Earth Star fish. A small Earth Star fish can increase one's lifespan by 3 to 5 years. It can be comparable to a grade 6 elixir. Now, many people have gathered in the mysterious sea. The eldest senior brother of the natural-born celestial sect said respectfully, "Okay." Wang Xian nodded. Items that could increase one's lifespan were very precious to martial artists. In fact, to many people, lifespan was priceless. The appearance of such fish in the mysterious sea would naturally attract all martial artists in the martial arts world. Dragon King, take the airship of our natural-born celestial sect. Flower Fairy said to Wang Xian. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head. An airship was a type of flying device created by the puppet celestial sect. Its speed was even faster than an airplane and was comparable to the flying speed of an infant stage powerhouse. An airship could carry a few hundred people. Almost all the celestial sects would purchase airships from the puppet celestial sect. Following that, they came to an open space. An airship that was more than 10 meters in size and 7 to 8 meters in width was located in the middle. Martial arts is really magical. The appearance of the 8 cauldron world has changed the world a lot. Wang Xian looked at the airship that only existed in novels with a slight sigh. Ignorant. A slightly disdainful voice came from the side. Wang Xian turned his head and looked at Guan Shuqing, who was emitting flames between her brows. He shook his head slowly. Not only did this phoenix take over his wife's body, she also had a rather bad temper. It was just that she and Shu Qing would exercise for 1 or 2 hours every night. Sometimes her soul would come out. Who asked you to take over Shu Qing's body? And the Empress? Didn't she enjoy it back then? Wang Xian looked at her with a strange expression. He didn't know what the so-called Empress really looked like. The airship took off. There was a disciple driving in front of them. They flew quickly toward the mysterious sea. The mysterious sea was located in Ji Ding's territory, and Ji Ding had 3 immortal sections: Ji Clan, Thunder Clan, and Wind Smoke Immortal Sect. The Wind Smoke Immortal Sect was the one that attracted the most attention. It was an immortal sect that was made up entirely of women. Cheng Qingqing, who was ranked first on a list of top beauties, was the most outstanding disciple of the Wind Smoke Immortal Sect. We're here. The mysterious sea is in front of us. At present, the mysterious sea has been occupied by the disciples of the immortal sects. The airship arrived at the bottom of the mysterious sea, and a dark blue and somewhat black seabed appeared in their line of sight. Black was not the color of water, but the color of an abyss. It was said that the mysterious sea was connected to the underground sea, and its depth could reach tens of thousands of meters or even hundreds of thousands of meters. It was a real abyss. Because of the bottomless abyss, the water looked black. In the mysterious sea, there were some unique aquatic plants that made the entire sea look very strange. Wang Xian contacted Tang Yinxian in advance. Dragon King. The airship had just stopped in an empty space when a draconid who was protecting Tang Yinxian rushed over and shouted at Wang Xian. Where is Tang Yinxian? Wang Xian asked him. Miss Tang is conducting an experiment. Miss Tang said that you should head over as soon as possible. The draconid said to Wang Xian. Experiment. Let's go and take a look. Wang Xian revealed a curious expression. He took a glance at Feng Wan, who was still occupying her physical body. After informing the people from the innate immortal sect, he flew towards the mysterious sea. The disciples from the innate immortal sect did not follow him. Instead, they flew towards the other direction of the mysterious sea. Chapter 764. Strong sound waves to attract fish, 2/5. Ring, ring, ring. Before he got close, Wang Xian heard a series of unique sounds. The sounds were very strange and had a special attraction. Sound of the soul. Feng Wan's surprised voice flashed across her eyes as she looked ahead. At this moment, Wang Xian, Feng Wan, and the draconid were flying on the surface of the ocean like an abyss as they looked into the distance. A beautiful green figure was standing on the peculiar aquatic plants on the surface of the sea. A beautiful zither was floating in front of her. The sound came from the zither. Wang Xian was also looking at Tang Yinxian curiously. Compared to the previous zither sound, her current zither sound was much more unpleasant. It was even a little off-key. Yinxian. Wang Xian flew over and shouted at Tang Yinxian. He looked around and realized that the draconid was not around. Wang Xian. Tang Yinxian smiled when she saw Wang Xian coming over. She took a glance at Feng Wan and greeted with a smile. Shu Qing, you're awake. However, Feng Wan was in control of her physical body now. She ignored Tang Yinxian and looked at her curiously. This caused Tang Yinxian to be slightly stunned. Yinxian, why are you playing the zither here? Where are the other draconids? Wang Xian looked at him curiously and asked. I'm doing an experiment. Tang Yinxian moved and came to Wang Xian's side. She pointed at a fish that was tied up. This is an ice star fish that we caught. It's tied up with a rope. Look. As she spoke, she stared at the zither in front of her with both hands. Ring, ring, ring. A very special sound was heard. Following that, the earth star fish swam towards her rapidly. Wang Xian was slightly stunned as he stared at the earth star fish that was wagging its tail. Half of its body was khaki, and the other half was green. There was a bump on its head, and it was also khaki and green in color. Voice of the soul, longevity fish. The flames at the corner of Feng Wan's eyes throbbed. Her eyes were filled with flames as she stared at the ocean abyss beneath her. A thoughtful look appeared on her face. What are you doing? Attracting? Wang Xian revealed a look of surprise as he said to Tang Yinxian. Yes, attracting. Through some communication with it, I can use sound waves to attract it over. If the experiment is completed, I can use sound waves to attract the earth starfish over. Tang Yinxuan's eyes lit up as she said, Through this method, we will be able to obtain many earth starfish. However, the current attraction is still a little off. I can only be certain when the draconids catch another earth starfish. When Wang Xian heard her words, he looked at Tang Yinxian in astonishment. If we succeed, how many earth starfish will we be able to attract? Within a radius of 10 kilometers with my cultivation, I can at most cover a radius of 10 kilometers. Tang Yinxian hesitated for a moment before replying. A radius of 10 kilometers is completely enough. If we succeed, we can capture more than half of the earth starfish in the entire mysterious ocean. Wang Xian's face lit up. The value of an earth starfish was comparable to a grade 6 elixir. If there were hundreds or thousands of them, it would definitely be a terrifying income. If he exchanged them for elixirs, he could easily become a superior immortal. Dragon King, Miss Tang, we've caught an earth starfish. At this moment, draconids emerged from the bottom of the sea. One of them held an Earth Star fish in his hand and said, "We've finally caught the second one. It's really difficult to catch only 2 in 3 days." A smile appeared on Tang Yinshuan's face. She took out a rope from her interspatial ring and tied it up. This Earth Star fish was only the size of a palm, and it contained a very strong life force. The Earth Star fish had an extremely fast speed in the water, and it was very small. It was very difficult to catch it. If not for the fact that the 10 draconids were all at the infant stage and had the divine dragon bloodline, it would be considered pretty good if they could catch one. The mysterious sea was too big and too deep. Moreover, there were some powerful creatures in the water, and some of them were comparable to the infant stage. There are 2 Earth Star fish here. I can ensure that I can attract them over. However, I need to test it out for a while. Tang Yinshuan continued to speak to Wang Xian. She took out the zither and began to test it out. Wang Xian watched from the side with a smile. If this was successful, it would be considered a considerable profit. "I want to go to the bottom of the sea to take a look." At this moment, the voice of Feng Wan suddenly came from the side. Wang Xian looked at her and frowned slightly. "Why are you going to the bottom of the sea?" "These fish are called longevity fish. There are such fish in the Sea of Longevity in our super-developed continent." Feng Wan said something that puzzled Wang Xian. "You discovered my blood essence in this world. It's possible that there is some connection between the 2 worlds. I want to go and take a look." As Feng Wan spoke, her body moved and she flew directly to the bottom of the sea. "You." Wang Xian's expression changed slightly. His body moved and he grabbed her body. He stared at her coldly and said, "This is not your body." Feng Wan was stunned when she saw Wang Xian grabbing her arm. "Don't worry. Nothing will happen. There are no transcendents in your world. No one can keep me here. This is very important to me." Wang Xian heard the helplessness in her eyes and his heart softened. He stared at her with a twinkle in his eyes. "You have to come up in half an hour. Otherwise, I will think of a way to suppress the fire energy in Shu Qing's body in the future." "All right." Feng Wan frowned slightly and nodded. Wang Xian let go of her arm and nodded at her. She moved and flew directly to the bottom of the sea at a terrifying speed. Is there a connection with her world? Wang Xian frowned slightly. If there was a connection with the supernatural world she mentioned, he might have to step into that world in the future. Ring, ring, ring. It's a success, it's a success. Just as he was thinking, Tang Yinshuan's happy voice came from the side. Wang Xian looked over and noticed that Tang Yinshuan was moving while playing the zither. The Earth Star fish had been following by her side as if they were attracted by a strong force. "Do you want to give it a try now?" Wang Xian moved to Tang Yinshuan's side and said to her, "Sure." Tang Yinshuan nodded her head heavily and looked at the surrounding draconids. "All of you enter the water and observe the area within a 5-kilometer radius. See if there are any Earth Star fish swimming over." Yes. The group of draconids nodded their heads and entered the bottom of the sea. Phew! Tang Yinshuan took a deep breath and glanced at Wang Xian. "Give it a try. I'll stand guard by the side for you," Wang Xian said with a smile. "Okay." Tang Yinshuan nodded her head and placed her hands on the zither. A special sound rang out. There was a special rhythm to the sound. When it landed on the water, it emitted waves that spread out in the surroundings. Chapter 765. Tang Yinshuan's Pursuer, 1/5. Ring, 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 ring. One after another, sounds were heard. This special sound could be heard within a radius of 10 kilometers. Wang Xian didn't know what talent Tang Yinshuan had obtained from the dolphins, but this special sound wave was extraordinary. His eyes were flashing with red and blue light as he looked at the surrounding seabed. With his current eyesight, he could penetrate a distance of dozens of kilometers without the obstruction of powerful energy. As his gaze swept across the area, he could see clearly for dozens of kilometers. It's here. It's really here? At this moment, a hint of surprise flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. In his vision, a palm-sized Earth Star fish was swimming over. 1, 2, 3. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings and looked at the Earth Star fish one by one. This was simply robbing money. Someone is following us. Suddenly, Wang Xian frowned slightly and looked at the dozen or so people following behind an Earth Star fish. There are 3 of them. I can sense them. Tang Yinxian revealed a happy expression on her face. Yes, they are here. The speed of the Earth Star fish was very fast. In less than 10 seconds, they had already appeared 100 meters in front of them. Wang Xian waved his arm, and the seawater immediately wrapped around the Earth Star fish and held it in his hand. That's great. Tang Yinxian revealed a smile on her face, and the sound of the zither stopped. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, more than 10 human figures emerged from the bottom of the sea. A group of middle-aged young men looked at Wang Xian. When they saw the 3 Earth Star fish in his hands, they were slightly stunned. Miss Tang. However, very soon, a young man standing in the middle greeted Tang Yinxian, who was standing at the side with some pleasant surprise. Yes. Tang Yinxuan's gaze swept across the crowd. She frowned slightly and nodded her head slowly. Our young clan leader has been searching for Miss Tang Yinxian with great difficulty. I didn't expect Miss Tang to be here. The other young men exchanged glances and said to Tang Yinxian with a smile, I have something to do here. I hope I won't be disturbed. Tang Yinxian said with an indifferent expression. Oh. The group of young men looked at Tang Yinxian. Their eyes swept past Wang Xian and narrowed slightly. Since that's the case, we shall not disturb you any more. As the group of young men spoke, their eyes flickered as they flew to the side. Tang Yinxian frowned and looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian, I will attract the attention of others by using sound waves to attract the Earth Star fish. It's fine. Wang Xian shook his head and looked at the group of young men who had left. Do you know them? They are from the Thunder Clan. My family is relatively close to Ji Ding's world. After Ji Ding appeared, the Thunder Clan sought out my father for the development of the real world. Now that my father has joined the Thunder Clan, he is helping to manage some businesses in the real world. Tang Yinxian explained to Wang Xian, the young leader of the Thunder Clan has been pestering me for the past 2 days. He is a very annoying person. Is that so? That's because you're too beautiful, Yinxian. Wang Xian smiled. With Tang Yinxuan's looks, she was not inferior to Flower Fairy at all. She was not inferior to the beauties of the immortal sect. It was very normal for her to be pursued. Then does our Dragon King also think that I'm pretty? Tang Yinxian suddenly asked Wang Xian. However, she seemed to be a little straightforward as she quickly continued, Let's continue. Okay. Wang Xian smiled at Tang Yinxian. Miss Tang is here. Let's report to the young clan leader. There's actually a man beside him. I wonder what his relationship is with her. No matter who that young man is, he is far from our young clan leader. Oh, right, they caught 3 Earth Star fish just now. It's a little strange. It's very strange. We chased after that Earth Star fish and actually took the initiative to run towards them. Oh, right, there's also a very strange sound. The dozen or so young men who had left stopped on the surface of the sea and looked behind them as they said in a slightly contemplative tone. First, tell the young clan leader about Tang Yinxuan's situation here. This Tang Yinxian is really beautiful. She actually caught our young clan leader's eye. This Tang Yinxian isn't simple either. She's very strong, and the people around her are also terrifying experts. If it weren't for them, our young clan leader would have long made his move. Ed, this voice is coming again. Let's go and report to our young clan leader. The group of over a dozen people flew into the distance. It's coming again. This time there are more. It's 4. On the other side, Tang Yinxian was playing the zither with a face full of joy as she spoke to Wang Xian. Looks like we will be able to reap a lot. A smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. Yinxian, your sound waves are really powerful. Tang Yinxian smiled happily. However, she raised her eyebrows and said, "There are people following us from the bottom of the sea. They are flying towards us. It's all right. I will get the draconids to block the people below who are trying to intercept the Earthstar fish." Wang Xian shook his head nonchalantly. Splash! 4 Earthstar fish appeared. Wang Xian waved his arm and 4 water energy palms grabbed them. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, 2 figures flew out from the water and saw Wang Xian holding 4 Earthstar fish. Their eyes lit up as they looked at Tang Yinxian and Wang Xian. "One of the terrestrial starfish is one that we have been chasing for a long time. This handsome guy, can you return it to us?" The 2 of them were girls. They were wearing sky blue clothes that looked like fish scales. They looked very beautiful. The 2 of them were about 30 years old. Their eyes were sparkling as they stared at the terrestrial starfish in Wang Xian's hands. "Sorry, we caught it." Wang Xian swept his gaze across the 2 of them and shook his head coldly. "Don't be so stingy. You've already caught 4 of them. If you don't stop them, they belong to us." A girl walked forward slowly and said to Wang Xian, "Get out of here." Tang Yinxian, who was at the side, placed her arm on the zither and waved it slightly. Instantly, a water wall was erected in front of the girl. The girl raised her eyebrows, and with a wave of her arm, she slapped towards the wall of water. Boom! However, Tang Yinxuan's hand on the zither rippled slightly, and the girl's body stiffened, and the wall of water crashed towards her. The powerful force caused her body to retreat more than 10 meters, and she was supported by another girl. The 2's expressions changed drastically. "Leave this place." Tang Yinxian looked at them and said calmly, "This is our Fengyan immortal sect's territory." A hint of anger appeared on their faces, and they stared at Tang Yinxian. Tang Yinxian looked at them coldly and slowly placed her hand on the zither. "You little girl, just you wait." The 2's expressions were somewhat awkward, and their chests heaved up and down as they glared at Tang Yinxian. They looked at each other and then left.